does it again against the Pirates. 2-0 St. Louis. Swing and a drive against the wrist is all right for Burley. A long homer. JJ takes off. Swing and a drive. Deep left field. That's going to do it in a big way. 3-run walk-off homer.
Just hearing that, you'd think it was a hell of a win for the Cardinals last night. And it was impressive. I wouldn't exactly say it was crisp, though. Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. A day after we talked to the Cardinals manager, and in that interview, I said, I can count on one hand the number of games in which the Cardinals have not played clean, crisp, quality baseball.
We all want to say it. BKO.
We saw them play a pretty ugly game last night. Here's Ollie Marmol on what he made of a good win, an impressive win, but an ugly win nonetheless.
I completely agree with you, and it's nice to be able to overcome it with some offense because we made some mistakes defensively. We made some mistakes on the bases. Some were aggressive, some weren't, but to be able to still find a way to shake hands at the end of it is good because you're going to have games like that. We're not going to be perfect, but you still have to figure out ways to scoring and overcoming it. So today was a good day for that.
Audio courtesy of Cardinals TV. I didn't enjoy watching that game, Alex. I enjoyed the finish, but
I enjoyed the start when Liberatore was dealing.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was like 8 strikeouts and 4 innings. I'm like, oh, my God.
And it was like a pop-up storm showed up in the 4th inning. I was like,
Libby.
Saggese's base running.
Need a sandwich.
Just honestly, the Saggese experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, man. He's fine. He's working hard.
JoJo forgetting to cover first base. Thank God for Alec Burleson making a hell of a play, but maybe hurting his wrist or his thumb in the process.
No, it was fine. Didn't you see him the next at-bat?
What'd you make of that yesterday, Alex?
I mean,
I think there's a lot of different directions you could go.
I mean, what you made of it is just sloppy play. And, I mean, you're allowed these at time. I mean, the pitching wasn't crisp. The hitting was very good for you, which is why you put yourself in this. But
Until the 9th inning when you had awful at-bat after awful at-bat after awful at-bat.
But you look at who was taking those at-bats. I mean, Pedro Pajes, Thomas Saggese, Victor Scott. Like, you knew what to expect. Yeah, you had to get to the next inning to be competitive. You know what the bottom of this order is. But, I mean, you're going to have games like these. And T-Bone said it in the office, and I don't want to take credit from him because this is true. Good teams win crappy performances. Like, that's what your team is made of. Ken Hitchcock used to say it all the time. Good teams win bad games. Bad teams lose good games. And for the Cardinals, that was a bad game from Matthew Liberatore. It was a bad game from the back end of your bullpen. It was a bad game on your defensive side, but you still found a way to come out on top. And I don't know if that says more about the Pirates or more about the Cardinals.
Yes.
I think it says more about the Cardinals because if you look at the guys that did the damage when it was most important, it was Wetherholt, it was Herrera, it was Burleson. Those are the guys you rely on, and I'm more and more confident that the 4 players we have gotten the most hyped about this season, they perform, as BK would like to say, when the brights are the lightest.
Yeah, that was the sign for me yesterday of, okay, this is a good baseball team because they were able to win without their A game. And you can't say that about everybody across the sport. When you have a bad game like that where you end up in a situation where you've got, I think it was runners at first and third, so JC gets himself picked off at third base on that throwback. All right, that's the game. That's the moment where a bad team ends up letting it just kind of snowball and they lose that baseball game in extras when their closer blows it. And they didn't do that last night. And as you said, their big boppers were able to come through for them and do just enough for them to win. Herrera's at bat wasn't like it was a pretty one to start that 10th inning. He was down 0-2 pretty quickly, and it looked uncompetitive, and he didn't look great early on in his 4 at-bats, but he takes advantage of a mistake. And good teams are able to do that. And I think that's what really stood out to me last night was, okay, yeah, they didn't play their A game. Yeah, it hasn't happened often this year, but this was the first sign of, okay, what are you going to do? What's your response to playing one of your worst baseball games of the season? And they ended up walking it off and coming out victorious last night.
I'm curious, how many times have we said this year, like, this might be the moment? This might be the moment where things start to snowball because it's felt that way in individual games. There have been stretches this season where you wonder, how are they going to respond to that? How are they going to respond to getting swept at home against the Seattle Mariners in a series that they played well, but they lost all 3 games. Now they're going on the road at Pittsburgh, and then what lies ahead is 3 games at home against L.A., and then if that's not enough, you also have, at the time you thought, 3 games at home against Milwaukee. All right, this might be the stretch that puts you behind the 8 ball. Well, no, they go on the road, they sweep the Pittsburgh Pirates. Then they come home, win the first 2 games against the Dodgers, and they find a way to pick themselves up off the mat. That's how I felt last night. That was one of those games, and it felt similar. What was the other game where they just did not look crisp? Was that
the Red Sox one?
Against the Athletics last week? Or it was on the road. They lose that game 6-2. I think that was the one with Libby on the mound as well. And they just played crap defense all day long. Bad base running. Just they gave the game away, and that was the one that I referenced in our interview yesterday with Ollie, where it was one of the few games this season where the Cardinals gave it away more than the other team taking it. And last night felt like it might be another one of those games. Coming off of a game Sunday where you didn't do a whole lot of anything offensively. And so it felt like, all right, if there's signs of this thing slipping away and the other shoe finally dropping for them, this might be it. And then they still find a way to win it in the end, man. And that's what I really have come to enjoy about this team. They get punched in the mouth, and they punch back harder. And that is a sign, I'm in full agreement with you guys, of a team that is more mature than their years would suggest they should be. And I'm just wildly impressed by this team each and every day that I watch them. Even in a game where I didn't enjoy a whole lot of that one, they still find a way to give you a moment in the end. And you've got Ivan Herrera rounding the bases, throwing his arm overhead, giving a little shout out to the boys in right field. That's a hell of a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, and again, it's the guys that are kind of the pillars of this rebuild that you're going through. It's Wetherholt, it's Walker, it's Burleson, it's Herrera. If that would have been Gorman and Pages and Victor Scott, I think you'd be excited, but you'd be like, that's not really believable. But the fact that it always seems to be those 4 players is why the excitement is surrounding this Cardinals team. And you asked the series that I thought the other shoe was going to drop for the season. After that Red Sox series, this was pessimistic Ferrario early on in the season. I thought that Red Sox series loss was going to be the moment. And I thought the Marlins going to the Mariners series was going to be the moment. And to your point of punching back, they beat the Guardians, then they beat the Astros, swept the Astros, and then they punched back after the Marlins and Mariners by sweeping the Pirates in 4 games. Like, they just don't. One bad game, one bad series, or even a game or a series that they lose, it doesn't faze them. They're able to kind of wipe that Etch-a-Sketch clean before they go to the next series, and that's a really beneficial thing to have if you're the Cardinals.
That was also the game for me that I was most worried about in this series. And the reason being that
Keller?
Yeah. That guy has had your number.
That kind of helped you out.
Wetherholt over the last couple of years. Yeah, no doubt. But and T-Bone's right. Pulling him when they did, I did not like that move by the manager. I get why you do it. Lefties have given him issues at times this season. Third time through. Like, I get what all of the numbers would suggest. But as a Cardinals person that watches this team, and I know kind of how they play, I felt great when they went to the bullpen. And you never want to do as the manager what the other fan base is rooting for you to do. And last night, that was pulling Mitch Keller in that exact moment. So now you got McGreevy going tonight. I feel good about McGreevy right now. And you've got an opportunity now to win your first 6 games against the Pittsburgh Pirates head-to-head.
Kind of wipe them off the board.
That goes a long way, man. And when you're in a division that is as competitive as this one appears to be, going 6-0 against a team to start out the season series, yeah, that helps. That doesn't hurt with any tiebreakers.
T-Bone, are you upset,
or
man?
Decisions as we get closer to the deadline.
The Pirates that you thought were going to win the division, man, they're falling.
I didn't say they were winning the division. I thought they could contend for a playoff spot, and once they lost one piece of their offense, clearly they can't. Ozuna stinks. He can't hit anymore. So
yeah, boy, that went quick for him, didn't it?
They really needed Ryan O'Hearn last night.
Yeah, they really did.
Can I ask you guys a quick question as a follow-up on this? We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, but Riley O'Brien since April 25th, 9 innings, 14 hits, 8 earned runs, does still have 10 strikeouts, only 3 walks, but a 7.5 ERA, and opposing hitters are batting .340 against him. Level of concern, scale of 1 to 10 on Riley O'Brien based upon his last almost month of work, Alex.
A 4, 3. I think this is going to happen for a guy, especially when you're in a closer role for the first time for an entire season. You're going to have some type of hiccup like the team had last night. And I mean, we all can acknowledge that whole game felt off. So it would make sense that Riley O'Brien was off. I mean, it's concerning that it's been a little consistent with him, the struggles, but I'd put it at like a 3. I would assume you can get right if you're Riley O'Brien with just some time.
Yeah, I'm at a 3. I'm not overly concerned about it. I think you're seeing just one of these weird, 10-game stretches. Every pitcher has it. But with his stuff, he should be able to get out of it. And like yesterday, he was 1 strike away from bringing that to an end. And then he threw 4 uncompetitive pitches.
Also, I did
Cruz.
not like the calls.
Yeah, I agree on that. But I mean, he was 1 strike away, and then he gives up the hit in the next at-bat. I'm not overly concerned about him. Now, if this continues for another 5, 6, 7 games, that meter will start to go up for me. But for right now, I'm at a 3. Still belongs in the circle of trust.
Yeah, I'm going with a 4 or 5 as well. I'll go a little higher. I'll go 5 just because of the lack of command.
You know who deserves to be in the circle of trust? That's 1 1/3 innings of clean work for your boy Gordon Graceffo.
Your boy Graceffo was great last night. I will give credit where credit is due. He's looked very good recently. Now, I'm still not there yet, Alex.
I was
still
right.
not there.
You were wrong. You're dumb.
All the warning signs of regression are still over there.
You're kind of ugly.
Hey, man, relax.
I think that's the quote.
He's got some big balls to get out of some of these innings.
Well, he's only got 1. Typically, they hand it to him, and it's the one that he's got to hit the catcher with.
He's got some real cojones.
Yeah,
and
he does.
I will give credit where it's due.
Let's take a victory lap, Graceffites.
On Friday, what he did against the Royals, very impressive. Last night, what he did against the Pirates, wildly impressive. This is the thing that you need coming out of your bullpen. You need a fireman that comes in. You got a tricky situation to get out of. He gets you 1 or 2 outs and then continues on to the next inning. Graceffo being able to do that, I could go a long way in saving this bullpen as things continue, especially as you're going through a stretch where, you've got some guys that maybe don't have their best stuff, and Graceffo seems to be one of them that are stepping up. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. YouTube chat is available for you, as always, at youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. Coming up in 15 minutes, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch had 2 different projections on what a contract extension could look like for Jimmy Snuggerud if one comes together this offseason. I'll tell you which one we prefer, which style we prefer, coming up in 15 minutes. But next, yes, I've seen your texts. I did not play the Nolan Gorman audio from his home run in the Open today because
you hate him.
We want to spend more time talking about Gorman specifically and his performance last night. We'll do that next here on 101 ESPN.
center field. Well hit. Gorman spoils the move.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, we were also supposed to hear the defensive play there by Gorman last night. T-Bone couldn't find it for us, unfortunately.
Unbelievable.
Audio courtesy of Cardinals TV. Alex, Gorman appears to be going on one of those I wouldn't call it a heater, but a warm-up period.
Yeah, I called it peeing in the pool back in the show prep. That's kind of what it feels like right now.
So he has a 6-game hitting streak going right now. He has a hit in, I believe it's 10 of his last 12 games, and last night that home run was majestic. He's also playing a pretty solid third base right now. The defensive metrics love him. I think maybe that's a little overstating with things, but that little spinorama play that he's got going at third base, that 360.
That's just putting some mustard on it, baby.
I like it, and he's pretty damn good at it. The first one, I was like, all right, I see you, Nolan Gorman. And then the second one, I was like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's like that guy that doesn't
let's relax.
It's like the guy that doesn't need to dive for a ball in center field because he's got it. Yeah, or Harrison Bader. Bader did that one as well. But you just do it because it looks that much better. And that's what Nolan Gorman's doing at third base right now.
What have you made of his performance this season, Alex? Because you look at the overall numbers, they're not going to jump off of the page for you, but he has a 700 OPS. He's slightly above league average offensively on the year. He's now got 6 home runs in his first 45 games. So he's on pace for like 20-something this year.
You know, like not so much the home runs, but I'm just looking at kind of what he's done in the last week or so. Like he's not striking out, which the big thing with Nolan Gorman is a ton of strikeouts and you hope a ton of power for home runs. Now, he's not hitting home runs, but he's also not striking out. So, like, it's this weird in-between spot with Nolan Gorman that what you want from him is you want 40 home run potential. But if he's not going to provide that, can you give me competitive at-bats? Can you continue to advance the line and make this game continue to move on like he did last night, have those moments with a big home run, and give you adequate defense at third base? Because if you can do all of those things, then you can play. Now, you're not the core piece that I thought you would be because I think that's what you're hoping for with that left-handed bat. It's the 40 home runs. But if this is what you get consistently, which I think is going to be the most important word when it comes to Nolan Gorman, then that's the guy that can fill that spot for you at third place. It's a perfect complementary piece for what your big 4 other players are doing for you.
I think we know what Gorman is. I don't think there's a whole lot left to the imagination at this point. He is a high strikeout, low contact, decent defender at third base who hits for some pop, and you use the word, Alex, of consistency. That ain't part of his game.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a consistent hitter. There will be months where you look at the back of the baseball card and it's 7 home runs, a 300 average, and a 580 slug. And there will be months where it is 2 home runs, a 150 average, and a 40% strikeout rate. And you get to the end of the regular season, it's like a 240 average, 230 average, hits 25-ish home runs, and you decide what is the value of that. That's ultimately what I think the Cardinals are going to have to determine at the end of the season. What is the value of Nolan Gorman? Because I think you have the evaluation part finished, and now it's about how you value what he brings to the table.
Well, and just you describing all of that, I think that's a player you're always looking to upgrade over.
I think so, too.
Because if you're not, you got to have some type of superpower. You got to be Gold Glove at third base. You got to have that power that can give you 35 to 40 home runs. You've got to be a guy who can get on base a lot. Like if you're not consistent and you're not showcasing the power all the time and you're kind of the strikeout in between, that's the spot you're always looking at. I have to get better at this position.
So my one caveat there is I feel that way about him when he gets expensive. Like there will come a point in time in which you need to upgrade that spot in your lineup. Or if you have some slippage from Walker, Wetherholt, Burleson, Herrera, and you need a big upgrade in your lineup, well, third base would be the most obvious spot right now to be able to do so via some kind of outside addition.
Right.
But for next year, if this version of Gorman is what you see the rest of the year, Gorman could be back next year making $5 million, and I think it would not be a crazy thing to have him in your lineup regularly. I think that's fine. But it's not what he was sold as. He's not I love the way you framed this, Alex. He's not a core piece. He's a complementary piece. He's a guy that you want hitting 6th or 7th in your lineup, giving you a little bit of pop, and occasionally, for a 2-week stretch, he carries your offense. And then for a month, you forget that he's in there, except for when you're pissed and throwing your remote at your TV because he's striking out with the bases loaded, right? Like those are the two different sides to this coin. But I think we now know basically what he is.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I'm completely fine with it. There's no expectations of going to win the World Series. You're continuing to develop a lot of these players. If you're competitive with the rest of these guys and he's not expensive, then he fits right in. When he gets expensive is when you're looking for, if I'm going to pay the price to keep a Nolan Gorman, I'm going to pay the price to go get something that's better for me in that position. Or something else that develops through my system that can play that position to the same level that Gorman can.
From the 314, guys, if the Cardinals value keeping Gorman around, it means that they are learning nothing from their past. I don't really know what that means. I just disagree with it, I think. Gorman's fine. Gorman isn't the failure of some of the other guys that they've had in their past.
The mistakes of the past, to me, would be the, contract extensions that were to the older guys. Like the deal for Miles Michaelis, or if you want to go to the position player side, the second extension for Matt Carpenter.
I would say the closest comparison for Nolan Gorman and what he has become for the Cardinals would be Paul DeJong. And the problem with Paul DeJong was not so much that he was in your lineup, it was that you extended him. If you didn't extend Paul DeJong and you just played it year to year, you went through the ARB process and decided to walk away, there would have been no issues with Paul DeJong as your starting shortstop.
Agreed.
The problem was that he was making real money and he had to start every day, and he was considered to be like a core member of the organization when he never probably should have been that. He was a complimentary piece. Harrison Bader was basically that, right? Harrison Bader was fine. As a starting center fielder, he's made a decade-long career out of what he represents for your team. Really good defense, can crush lefties for you, probably not an everyday starter, though. And I think that's kind of what Nolan Gorman has become. He can help you. He can play for you against right-handed pitchers. And last night, that was an unbelievable home run against a lefty, who I think that was his first one that he's given up against a lefty so far this season. But yeah, I don't view Gorman as representing some of the issues of the past. I think he's quite different, frankly.
I agree with that. I don't view him as an issue of the past. I again, think that's more of the extending of guys and then getting it wrong. I mean, DeJong's a perfect example of that. Because, if they wanted to move on from Nolan Gorman, they could do it, right? I mean, they don't have to tender him a contract in the offseason if they don't want to. They probably will because of what you said. He's not overly expensive, and he's a guy that, even in, a bad year, could potentially hit 20 home runs with his power. It becomes more of a conversation as he gets later into the arbitration process, and that's when we'll find out if they make the mistakes of the past or not, of if they say, well, I mean, we have to keep this guy because he's got this great left-handed power, and we don't have that in the organization, and they extend him. We're not at that point yet for that conversation to be here, and as long as he can continue to go on, I wouldn't say he's on a tear that's carrying the offense at this point, but as long as he continues to go on those kind of monthly tears of, hey, he's going to have an 800-plus OPS, that'll play. That's how you can live with his struggles. The reason that I had been frustrated with him a week or two prior was he hadn't gone on that tear yet, and it didn't look like he was going to go on that tear because it didn't look like his power was there. If you look at 2023, he had months of 590 and 600 slugging percentages. Now, he also had a month where it was 229, but that's okay. As long as you can go on that kind of a tear and showcase your power, you can live with that in that 6-hole.
Can we talk a little bit about the opposite of what Nolan Gorman did last night? I don't think Thomas Saggese is a big leaguer right now, guys.
Or in general.
I still am holding out more hope than
Come on,
T-Bone
man. We
is.
did that with Jordan Walker, and look at him now. Okay.
Again, now that was a rare exception.
Can I tell you something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last week, Alex? I'm just saying this to Alex.
Is it Ali Marmol?
No.
Oh.
Yes, but no. Remember that conversation we had where somebody on this show yelled at me for the idea, the gall, the audacity to say that the Cardinals in some instances could win 85 games this year? Do you remember that conversation? Because I just remembered it
The only people
vividly
that I
over the
remember
last
yelling
couple of
on
days.
this show is typically you. So.
Touche.
And
I remember
also
somebody not believing 85
Alex maybe
wins.
was with me on that one, too.
Oh, absolutely was. I'm not afraid to say that I did not think this team was going to be
so
an
you
85
really
win
look in the
team.
eyes.
You were more open to the idea of, I guess there's a scenario where it happens. It's unlikely unlikely, but it could technically happen. T-Bone flat out said, or we'll have to find this audio if it ends up happening. T-Bone flat out said, refuse to believe this team, there's no scenario in which they could win 85 games. It's an impossibility.
I think he bet you $1,000 on that, too.
I think I remember that as well. Again, I'll find the audio.
I still am owed beer by BK.
Me too, man. Me too.
I remember when he said he put it, never said on the radio. I think he did
it on the show where he was like, hey, Siri, set a reminder to buy some beer for T-Bone and Alex.
Damn it, I did do that.
Waiting.
I don't remember. Back to Saggese. He's not a big leaguer right now, and I would be in favor of sending him down today. I think it's time to make a move, guys. I don't think this is doing any justice to him.
You're losing confidence now.
He is so in over his head right now. It's base running mistakes. It's defensive mistakes. Forget what he's doing at the plate, which is not good. It's everything else. It's seeping into every aspect of his game currently. I don't know how much longer we can continue to do this. Like, I'm not even going to make the case anymore for Blaze Jordan because whatever. Maybe they just don't want to do this right now with Blaze Jordan. Could we get a Brian Torres who's 29 years old? He's a guy you signed out of an independent league a few years ago. It's worked. Like, he's actually putting up real numbers down in the minor leagues right now. He has walked more than he has struck out each of the past 2 seasons at AAA. And now, as a 28-year-old this season, he's batting .335, getting on base more than 45% of the time, and hitting for a little bit of pop. This is now 2 consecutive years in which that has been the case for him at AAA. Will it translate to the big league level? I have no clue. Probably not, if we're being real. But I would be interested in finding out. He's got some speed. He can play all over the diamond. He's a utility guy who can also play in the outfield for you. And again, he's 29 years old. So his future is right now. This is it, man. This is probably going to be his one real chance to make it to the big league level. I know he's a lefty bat. That doesn't necessarily fit in perfectly with what you have here at the big league level, but neither does Thomas Saggese. I don't even care about the platoon split right now. Just get somebody who might be able to help you out in some situations. Torres is more likely to do that currently than Saggese, and Saggese, I think, is falling further and further into the lack of confidence spell right now.
Now, is this solely about just the shortstop position because of Mason Wynn? Like, that's why he was there last night.
Prieto was the guy who got the start.
Correct.
Well, and see, that's why as much
to me, it's just about I can't have Saggese up here anymore because I can't trust that he's going to go out there and do anything well currently.
He's got the yips, which I totally agree with that. I just feel like they're biding their time until Urias is healthy and they're getting closer to Lars Nootbaar being ready, because when that happens, there's just no playing time for those guys and they're just going to send them down. So now it's probably just bide our time with Thomas Saggese. Urias should be back within the next few days, you'd think, if everything's going okay. And I know Nootbaar just went to AAA yesterday. So, I agree. I don't think he's a big leaguer, and I think he should just be down in Memphis for a large stretch of time where he's playing certain positions to gain confidence back. But now it just feels like rather than call somebody up, bide your time with them and then just get to the health of the rest of the roster.
I would just make the move now. I mean, there's no reason not to. I mean, even if you're saying, well, we want to wait until we see if Urias comes back, which I haven't. Is there an update on him? I haven't seen
Last
anything.
I had heard, this came from Derek Gould. I texted with him last week. I probably should have asked about this yesterday, but we had a bunch of other stuff to get to. Off the air, I asked him what the update is on Urias, and he said it could be like a month. Maybe.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's what he had been hearing from the Cardinals at least.
That's why I brought that up, because I hadn't heard anything that said he's close. And if that's the case, I would make the move now. I mean, you're not getting any production from him. He's not helping you clearly on the base paths as we saw last night. And I understand, whether it be like you're saying, Torres or Blaze Jordan. Jordan doesn't have any position flexibility. Do you need it right now? I mean, Prieto can play short. Mm-hmm. He can play second. He could probably play third along with Blaze if you brought him up here. Fermin can play all infield positions. Also move out to the outfield if you want.
And play anywhere in the outfield.
Exactly. So I don't know what the holdup would be on him. Now, maybe some of it is, well, then you can't be making 2 changes at a time where you can have potentially you pinch hit for, I don't know, an infielder on top of the fact that you pinch hit for one of your outfielders. But they don't really do that anyway. So correct. I would say you bring up Jordan or whoever it may be that you want to bring up here, so you can just at least feel like you've got a guy that's on the roster that you can at least give a shot to and see if it works out for him.
My guess is it's 40-man related. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that I can think of is they are tied to somebody currently on the 40-man. They don't want to lose him, and that's why they're going about it this way. But Brian Torres is on your 40-man. So that's why that would be the one that I would pinpoint is you don't have to make a 40-man move in this scenario. He is performing well down in the minor leagues. It's not as though you're stunting the growth of a 22-year-old to put them into a bench situation. No, he's 29, and this might be his best chance to ever make it to the big leagues. So go ahead and give him the chance, see what it looks like. You're not losing anybody to waivers. He would be the one that I would pinpoint as like, it's the path of least resistance. He's succeeding. Everything about this could make a whole lot of sense for the Cardinals. I would call up Brian Torres today and give him the chance and see what it looks like at the big league level. I just think he's the one that makes the most sense given where the Cardinals are at today. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. But next, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch had a really good article earlier today on what a potential extension would look like for Jimmy Snuggerud. There were two different scenarios they laid out. Which of these two would you most like to see for the Blues? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. Cardinals took game 1 of their 3-game set against the Pittsburgh Pirates last night, 9-6. Game 2 will be tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Michael McGreevy will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
It's not officially time to talk extension with Jimmy Snuggerud, but the Blues can do so this offseason. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So Matthew DeFranks had a really good piece earlier today, Alex, in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch about what an extension could potentially look like. Now, Snuggerud is under contract this year. There's no urgency to have to get this done if the Blues don't want to. But the following offseason, he's an RFA, which means they can talk about an extension with him. And if you do so, you can look toward the Blues history as to what this might look like. Typically, when the Blues get to this spot in their lineup or in their contracts, they do some kind of a bridge deal, right? So Kevin Shattenkirk got a 4-year deal, $4 million per year. Petro, 7 years, 6.5. Tarasenko got 8 by 7.5, and Parayko got 5 by 5.5. But generally speaking, it's shorter. Mm-hmm. They like going with those shorter term deals. They did this with Thomas, with Kyrou, with Neighbors, and so many others. So for Snuggerud, there's a few different routes that they could go. They could go with a 3-year deal, and that would be similar to like what the Sharks did with William Eklund. And he got a 3-year contract worth about 5% of the cap. In other words, 3 years, $6 million per year is kind of what you would look at for Jimmy Snuggerud. Or they could go longer term, buy out more years of his youth, and that would look kind of similar to what the Toronto Maple Leafs just did with Matthew Nyes. Yep. Matthew Nyes ended up signing for the equivalent of what this offseason would be a 6-year deal worth $9 million per year. So shorter term, 3 years, 6 per year in terms of the AAV. Longer term, 6 years, $9 million per season. It gets more expensive the longer you want to lock up Jimmy Snuggerud. If you were in Doug Armstrong's shoes, or based upon his own words, I would assume Alexander Steen's shoes, who's probably more likely to get this kind of a deal done, which of those paths do you believe is more desirable from the Blues perspective?
The Blues perspective, it would be the short term, because I kind of wonder if there's even any desire to go extension with him, just because I would think that they want to see a second full season of Jimmy Snuggerud. Army said it at the press conference that this one, in their opinion, is going to be the toughest season that he's going to have to weather, because everyone knows Jimmy Snuggerud is a dangerous threat. You look at Jake Neighbors, they got 2 seasons before they approached him with that contract extension. Even a guy like Tarasenko, before they signed him, it was 2 full seasons before they said, okay, we know what this guy is. But where the Blues are at, I think they would rather dangle the carrot in front of him so that he continues to perform, rather than just lock him up at 6 years and $9 million. Because in reality, you haven't done anything yet. You did something in the second half of the season where Doug Armstrong didn't put a whole lot of, faith behind it that it continues. So I think they would rather say short term, 3 years, let's get you locked up so you're comfortable, but the bigger contract comes when you perform.
I actually think they would go longer term with him. And I think it's because I feel like he's potentially the kind of guy that could, if you do short term, become very expensive quickly by the time you get to the end of that 3-year deal that we're talking about. And now I get it, $9 million, pretty good chunk of change there. But if we're talking like 4 years into that deal, that's probably going to be kind of the going rate, if not a little bit lower than the going rate for a guy that could potentially be a 30-goal scorer. I wonder if they're going to look to do long-term. I don't know how much I put stock into their, we don't want to read too much into what happened at the end of the year. I mean, they just gave Holloway a bigger contract than I think we were expecting in terms of the longer term. So I think they would probably go long-term with Jimmy Snuggerud, would be my guess.
The Holloway deal, though, still is below Kyrou, Thomas, and Booch.
Yeah, it's 6.5, 6.7?
7.75.
7.75. And you saw 2 full seasons. I know he was injured, but you saw 2 full seasons from Dylan Holloway.
There were pieces of both seasons where he looked like maybe your best player.
And you saw it in the playoffs with Edmonton, too, to where it's like, this guy performs. It's just, can he stay healthy? That's different from, can you stay healthy and perform, versus, are you this player, or do you fall back a little bit when teams figure you out?
Let me ask this question first, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. What do you think are the odds that Jimmy Snuggerud is able to put up Jason Robertson types of numbers?
40 goals, 90 points.
Mm-hmm. Just realistically speaking, do you think that's a likely outcome for Jimmy Snuggerud?
Yeah.
On this current deal before you hit free agency?
Oh, on this current deal? No. I think you're talking 3 to 4 years in. Like, I don't think...
Took Robertson until he's 23, which is about 3
I think 2 years from now is when you can start talking 40 years, because Cole Caulfield's the other one that I come up with. This season was the third full season that he played on the line with Nick Suzuki.
The reason that I bring this up is because if you go that 3-year deal, you still have the potential of locking him up long-term after that 3-year deal.
Agreed.
I just don't, maybe this is me being a hater, I don't know that he's going to put up 100 points or 90 points. And I'm not entirely sure that he's going to be a 40-goal scorer. Could he do that in any given season? Sure. And so there is some risk of you having to pay more than this $9 million AAV if you wait to sign him longer term. I think I would be open to that if I'm the Blues, because I think the risk is higher of me getting 3 years in and realizing this is not a $10 or $12 million a year player.
Yeah.
So I'm actually not getting a huge discount by signing him to that $9 million contract per year right now. So I would go shorter term, because you're still going to keep the player. This is not it's kind of like my JJ Wetherholt take, where because I don't think they should extend him, I hate JJ Wetherholt. That's not the case at all. You already have him under contract for 6 years. He's here. He's going to be here. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of, do you want to lock him up to a longer deal and guarantee him more money right now, or do you want to wait to do that? I would wait with JJ Wetherholt, and I think I would wait with Jimmy Snuggerud as well, just to see what it looks like. How long are you going to take before you become that player that's fully formed? Will you ever become that 40-plus goal scorer, 90-plus point producer? If not, I don't need to sign you to a $9 million AAV. I can wait and get you on something similar or less than that.
They did this with Kyrou. They paid him because of what he did in a year and in 2 years, and they said, we think this is going to continue. And everybody is upset because they feel like, oh, he's got all of the control now, and now he's not performing. I don't think that's Jimmy Snuggerud's work ethic. I think it's going to be there. I do believe this guy can be a 40-goal scorer in the NHL. If he continues to play with Robert Thomas and Dylan Holloway, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, I think that line could do what Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky have done. But there's this narrative of, well, you got to sign him now because he's going to get too expensive. Guys, he's not going to make $13 or $14 million. Like, you're not talking Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid. We're talking if he gets to become a 35, 40 goal scorer, yeah, maybe he gets to $10 million. That's not too expensive for the Blues.
No.
The salary cap in 3 seasons is $123 million. They have $70.4 million available to them right now. You can pay Jimmy Snuggerud $10 or $11 million if he is a $10 or $11 million player. I don't want to pay him $9 million now for him to be a $7 or $6 million player 5 years from now.
The risk is more significant than, in my opinion, the immediate rewards would be.
Yep.
So
keep the carrot in front of him.
Scenario, I would just play it out. The other thing, though, somebody brought this up. Would you consider doing what you did with Thomas and Kyrou, where you gave them matching deals and you offered a Jimmy Snuggerud, hey, we'll give you the same 5-year, $7.75 million deal that we gave to Dylan Holloway?
Yeah, that I would do.
I would probably do. Yeah. I think that might be the middle ground here, where if you go shorter term, you get that 3-year, $6 million. Longer term, you get the 6-year, $9 million. I think this could be a scenario where you say, hey, you're going to slot in exactly where Dylan Holloway is. It's you, Thomas, and Holloway on our top line for the next 5 years together. We're building around you. We believe in all 3 of you. We're not going to give you top of the market money, but this is life-changing money. You are guaranteed the moment that you sign the dotted line about $35-40 million to your name. Mm-hmm. Your kids will never have to work another day in your life if you sign the dotted line right now.
And you'll be 20,
that could make sense.
And you'll be 27 and you're a free agent again. Yep. And that's not even the prime of a goal scorer's career. You're still in the early stages of it. So then you could sign another 5-year deal worth $13 million if you're that guy. Plus, you're tied to Dylan Holloway and you're tied to Robert Thomas. And as a core, plus you're tied to Philip Broberg. Like, the core makes its place, and you've cemented yourself as a face of the team. So, yeah, that's the ground that I would approach 5 years. But, yeah, I'm not going to $9 million for him. I don't think work ethic is going to be a problem for Jimmy Snuggerud, but I do think you pay a guy all the money now before he has proven it, before the NHL has tried to take advantage of him at that level.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Questions and answers coming up next.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care, the company that has been making people comfortable since 1926, a company that I have been using since 2016 when we lived in our first home. When we bought it, my wife and I, the HVAC system was 23 years old, and I was like, there's no way this thing is going to last us for as long as we need it to, and luckily we were able to move out of it 5 years later, but that unit was able to maintain those 5 years that we lived there because I used the maintenance agreement. I used the customer service that Classic Air Care provides. I used the technicians that have been doing this for 30 plus years. But don't just take my word for it. Go and check out the thousands of 5-star reviews on Classic Air Care's work, like this one from Kim. Beyond happy with my experience over at Classic Air Care. From meeting with Nick about a new furnace and AC unit to Ian and Vontae installing them, all has been fantastic and informative experience. Professional, and I understood what was completed. I have found my new HVAC professionals from here on out. Thank you so much. So call the professionals today. They've got 100 of those orange vans with the penguins on the side out on the road. They'll get back to you within 24 hours. Schedule online. Just do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. T-Bone, did you watch the City game last night?
No.
Match.
Sorry.
This guy over here, T-Bone.
You're so good at making sure that
I'm going to hold you accountable just like the soccer fans do for us.
That's right.
No, I did not watch the match.
Their
yesterday.
kits looked incredible.
Didn't they? I saw no one was there.
Damn.
No, I mean, it's true.
You're the soccer guy, man. Relax.
I am the soccer guy. I said this yesterday. I'm not watching some weird in-season tournament.
They were at the tarps off
I saw
game.
Berkey got hurt. That's great for the regular season.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
he loves the game injured.
Well, that one's
Blunt had
over.
to come save their bacon in PKs.
Yeah, well, that's over if they lose Berkey.
Yeah, I mean they're yeah.
They won, so I was just curious if you were excited about it. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 618, Alex, is there any world where the Blues package a first-rounder with Booch to offload his contract?
No, I don't think there's any appetite from the Blues to just get rid of Pavel Buchnevich. I think they think Pavel Buchnevich is a really good player. He's very good defensively. They just got to get him more mentally engaged throughout the season.
I have a follow-up question. How much would that change if the cap was flat?
I don't think it would change much.
They don't need money.
The reason I asked that
I
was
think it'd be
because
more of
his
an influence to
contract
get rid of
becomes
Kyrou.
a lot easier to just absorb as the cap starts to go up.
Wait,
he's meaning
explain
if
your thought process
the cap was flat, they'd
If the
be
cap
more.
was flat, they're not there yet, but at some point they could because they're starting to pay guys. If you were in that flat cap era, which happened over like a 5-year span, I think there'd been more of an appetite to potentially move Booch and attach a first.
See, I don't
now
think,
it doesn't really matter because
it would also be harder to move him though. This is the
It's
problem
fair.
is like it's that double-edged sword. Yes, there would be more incentive for the Blues to move on from the contract. There would also be less incentive for other teams to take it on, which means you would not only have to package like a first-round
you'd
pick.
have to buy him out at that point.
Yeah, either buy him out or attach a significant prospect to it as well for another team to be incentivized to take it.
And I think in that world,
and then you have to also have Booch accept the deal wherever he's going.
I think in that world, they'd be more incentivized to get rid of Kyrou faster and attach picks to him because they like the way Buchnevich plays.
I also think like with Kyrou, teams will take him on. Yeah. Teams are willing to take on the risk profile because it's only one bad year. He's only 28 years old. And there's still upside remaining. The teams that would be willing to take on Booch are probably teams that are taking on a big prospect. You're talking about tanking teams, bad rosters. And in that scenario, why is Booch accepting the deal? Yeah, so I think it would be really hard to make that move if there was a flat cap. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, guys, when do you think the honeymoon period with Jim Montgomery comes to an end? I think you got one more year.
I think when the expectations are this team should be competitive whenever they make that move, that's when you start to really judge Jim Montgomery. But I don't think you're anywhere near that right now. I think people understand that this is more on players than the coach. You got to shift the identity of the players and move chairs around versus pointing at the coach.
From the 636, guys, with the Rashee Rice ordered for jail time for violating his probation, is it time for the Chiefs to just cut their losses with him? You will not see anybody that's more annoyed with Rashee Rice than I am. I said multiple times to my wife last night, why is that guy so stupid?
You don't think he's going to have success rehabbing his knee in prison?
In jail.
Oh, sorry.
Prison. Yeah.
Different.
It is. No, they shouldn't cut their losses because there's no reason to do so. Like, you don't have to. You should not extend him because you can't trust him. But for this season, if you cut him, somebody else will just pick him up. It's the harsh reality of the way that professional sports work. So, no, don't cut him. Play him as often as he's available and then move on.
Look, they cut Kareem Hunt and they found his way back to Kansas City.
He also lied to them about what took place. Like, that was, I think, a big part of it. He
good
said
thing
nothing
she's
happened.
not a liar.
Touche.
He's got that one.
He said nothing happened, and then they got the video that came out, then the Chiefs were like, well, hey, dummy, did you not think that there was going to be a video in a hotel? Like, what? This is a casino hotel. Yeah, they've got everything under surveillance. You got to go. Get out of here. And then he made his way back. So, yeah, I think he'll be on the Chiefs this year. I just am so sick of him.
I just can't wait to see how he rehabs his knee.
That's the thing.
I mean, you could get in really good shape in jail. You have all of the time in the world to do pull-ups and push-ups. T-Bone, maybe that's what you should do before they win the division.
I've seen some Chiefs. You know how this is, Alex. Like, as a fan of a team, you will convince yourself of anything. So there are Chiefs fans right now that are honest to God saying, well, this is the best time for him to go to jail, actually, because he wasn't going to participate at OTAs anyway, since he just got this scope on his knee. Yep. So it's actually better for him to do it now and just get it out of the way, because he had to serve the 30 days no matter what, and now at least he'll be back ready to go for training camp. Hey, dummies. He was going to have to rehab his knee, which includes a whole hell of a lot of stuff that they actually don't have in jail, it turns out. So,
what?
No, this is not the best time for him to go to jail. The best time for him to go to jail is, frankly, never.
When you're a fan, you will convince yourself of anything.
God,
that's how it works.
All right. He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. I just want him to stop being stupid.
Well, I think we've learned at this point that's not going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen, big boy.
I'm not convinced.
You go back to back with what happened with him this offseason. I don't think that's just all of a sudden going to be like, hey, I've had the come to Jesus moment. We're good now.
That makes me feel better. I'm not convinced that Puka's not done some stupid stuff either.
I mean, look at what's his face from San Francisco.
Somebody on the by the way, Alex.
Huh?
Somebody on the text line said, guys, what do you think of Jeff Merrick linking Jordan Kyrou to Edmonton?
I did not see that. I have not seen that anywhere, so if I see it, I'll make... no, I can just tell you right now.
I don't know what Edmonton would give you.
Aren't they tied against the cap as well?
Yeah. You'd have to take on, like, Darnell Nurse. You want $9 million for a bad defenseman? No, there's nothing unless they want to send me Draisaitl or McDavid, there's nothing you could send me that I would want.
That's the thing. I'm open to sending him to Edmonton.
Yeah.
And I think he probably makes a lot of sense for Edmonton.
I'll take Evan Bouchard.
But who are they giving the Blues?
Yeah, nothing. They don't have a first-round pick. They don't have any top prospects that you'd want. You brought up, I think it was, I forget what his name is, but there is a young centerman that they had, Savoy, that they acquired from Buffalo. Yeah. Projects to be like a third-line center. And you've got nothing on the NHL roster other than McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard. So, no, I would say...
I'll take Bouchard.
Yeah, I'll take Draisaitl.
If they want to trade Bouchard, if that's their chip that they're dangling out there, well, sure, yeah, we can have a conversation. I'll trade you Parayko plus Kyrou.
Yeah. I still can make that work cap-wise.
Yeah, I do that.
16 mil versus 9 mil. But, yeah, or not 16 mil, 14 mil. But still, they can connect the dots all they want. Edmonton would make a ton of sense if you're Jordan Kyrou because their speed, and he's got speed. That trade's not happening from the Blues' perspective.
My guess is that would have to be a 3-team deal of some kind.
Probably.
But I don't know what that third team is getting in to do. Because they would have to give up significant prospect capital or picks.
Yeah.
And they would have to get something of real significance in return for that. So Edmonton would have to be sending out something. And once again, who's the player?
Yeah.
Or players that
unless you're
have
getting a top 5 draft pick from the third-party team that's coming your way, Kyrou going to Edmonton, but what's that team getting from
to make
Toronto and St. Louis? Yeah, unless you're giving up prospects, but why would they want that versus a top 5 pick?
All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. In 15 minutes, who's the pro athlete that's been great in the regular season that's most synonymous with playoff failures? Because I think there's one who was in action last night that might be at the top of that list. We'll get into that in 15 minutes. Matthew Liberatore, interesting night for him. I'll tell you why I actually came away more impressed with him despite his 5th inning disaster. We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN. All right, full disclosure. The fastball for Matthew Liberatore still isn't good. It's a big problem.
Seems to be a pretty important thing. So
you were excited about his outing yesterday.
Spin this one.
Speaking of spin,
spin rate.
His curve is nasty right now.
That doesn't matter when your fastball can't do anything.
It does if you're getting a whiff on 67% of the curveballs that you're throwing right now. And that's what's happening with Matthew Liberatore over his most recent 3 starts. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Libby had a tale of 2 different starts basically last night. I mean, his first 4 innings were as good as I've ever seen him as a major league starter. He was dominant against the Pirates lineup. They had no chance going up. They looked silly against him. And then you get into the 5th inning and all hell breaks loose, brother. It was horrible. So I think some walked away from that start saying, it's more of the same. Back-to-back starts where Libby gets into the 5th or the 6th inning and things go sideways. But I looked at the first 4, Alex, to me, as the more significant sign, because we talked about this the other day. Who is the starter in the Cardinals rotation that has the potential to go on a run the way that, what's his face for Arizona?
Brandon
Pfaadt did a few years ago. And my answer to that was, I think it's probably Libby, because he's at least got a couple of pitches that might profile similarly to the slider that we saw from Pfaadt in that postseason. And if you look at what's happened over his last 3 starts for Matthew Liberatore, his swing and miss rate is 30%. Prior to that, it was 19% on the season. That is a huge, huge jump for him, man. And you look at where it's coming from, it's because he has changed what he's doing with both his curveball and his slider, all right? So his curveball is up about 2 miles per hour in the velocity. His slider is also up about 1 mile per hour, and last night it was closer to 2 miles per hour on its velocity. And what that's doing is it's inducing a whole hell of a lot of swing and miss. And how much have we talked this year about how the Cardinals' rotation, while effective lately, it's still not getting that swing and miss? I think you asked about this, Alex, yesterday with Ollie Marmol when he was in studio with us. And he said, yeah, it's something you've got to take into consideration. We're trying to get the most out of these guys that we can, but it's tough sometimes. Well, for Matthew Liberatore, he's got a little bit of that going for him right now. And so that was my biggest takeaway. Not the negative side of things that happened in the 5th. It's what they're starting to unlock with his breaking balls, and you saw that in a big way through the first 4.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy that unlocks the potential for your team in your rotation, because I think Dustin May and Michael McGreevy, you know what you're going to get. It's going to be pretty consistent. Liberatore's the one that if you can unlock it and he can be a guy that can be effective for you and figure out those certain pitches, the swing and miss is really what changes it for you. I'm always worried about Matthew Liberatore because it last season just kind of put that bug in your ear of like, man, he's good, but fatigue is a real thing. And yes, he's got swing and miss stuff, but how long is he going to be able to last to the type of style that you want him to do? It's just the more and more those games happen, the more and more I wonder if he just really is an excellent bullpen arm. But the swing and miss stuff is real. When you have, 8 strikeouts in the first 4 innings, you see that and you're like, oh, okay, this guy is that strikeout stuff that you hope for. It's just, can you put everything together? So the ship has not sailed for Matthew Liberatore. There's still plenty of time to fine-tune it, but he's just kind of that guy that I'm going to be watching, and the judgment will really set in once you hit about July. Because if you fix things in the next couple of starts, it's great, but what happens when the fatigue sets in? Because you could be a 5 and dive, but are you a 5 and dive without the fastball and guys are still beating you up for an inning?
I'll say this. If he's a 5 and dive and it looks the way it did yesterday, I'll sign up for that today.
Hell yes.
You get away with that.
If your bullpen's awesome, hell yeah, you can.
Because I've got other dudes that can go deep. Like, I think Kyle Leahy might be one of those guys that just, 6 innings every time he goes out there. It's not great, but it's 6 innings. Palante could be something similar to that. I think McGreevy is a guy that you expect to get deep into games. What is it, like 6 of the last 8 starts that Dustin May has Dustin May has at least like a quality start in them. So you've got other guys that are getting deeper into these baseball games. If Libby's a guy that just doesn't get deep into games but has a ton of strikeouts and you expect him to go up the ceiling for your rotation, cool.
Can he be Quintana? By me. Like, that would be my question. Can he be your Jose Quintana this year? Rather than having to go out and find him at the deadline, can he kind of mold into that? And that's why, like, I get what you're saying
comparison
on why you're excited from what we saw from Libby last night, because I think it is intriguing, especially because you brought up how hard he's throwing the curveball and slider now, and they made reference to how much he's spinning the baseball a little bit more. That's intriguing because you saw what it looks like. But the two questions that I have that are worth monitoring, and also the one that Alex mentions, which is, okay, what's he going to look like when we start to get into starts 20, 25, and 30? But the two things that I am monitoring is, okay, will those pitches continue to play up if your fastball still gets killed?
It's a fair question.
Because at some point, I'm just going to go, all right, if that ball's spinning, I'm not going to swing it. Throw that one that comes straight, and I'm going to crush it.
Exactly.
And then the second thing for me is, can he avoid that fifth inning slip up? Because it's not even like last night wasn't even 5 and dive. And I wonder if part of that is because he's throwing so much harder early on. He's running out of gas as he starts to get into his pitch count range of like 60, 70, which you saw last night when he gets pulled at 77.
That seems to be a trend. When he hits 70 pitches, it starts to really tank for him.
And I don't know if that was the case for him earlier in the year, but that was because he wasn't throwing the pitches hard.
Can I give him an explanation, whatever you want to call it, for last night?
No, I don't like excuses, but sure.
It was humid as hell yesterday outside, and you can
what do
see
you
it
think
with
July
him.
and August is going to be?
I'm with you. But
now
yesterday-
it's sunny gray. Get me out of there, coach. It's too hot.
I thought this would be a bad excuse, and it was worse than I expected.
God, that was terrible.
It was 60 outside.
That's with like 100%
I don't
humidity.
care.
That's like when I say that's like when I say the Blues struggled because they went East Coast to West Coast. Road trip doesn't matter.
I'm just giving him an out.
That was
You're
awful.
gonna have to move him to a less
awful.
humid state then, so he can perform.
Okay.
You're the king of excuses, is what you are.
I liked what I saw from Matthew Liberatore last night.
Loved what I saw for 4 innings from
I was
Matthew Liberatore.
intrigued. Intrigued would be the word I'd use.
There have been a lot of times where I have been sold one thing on Matthew Liberatore and I see something that's quite different. Last night, I saw it. Because Chaim Bloom has talked about this. I think he's on KMOX, and he talked about how this is like the best that they've seen Libby throw the ball.
When the advanced metrics say his stuff is spinning better, and we talked about it. I'd say it early on in the year. What the hell are these metrics tell me? Because it doesn't look any better. It looks maybe worse, if anything.
The eye test and the metrics didn't seem to match. Last night, it matched up. Last night, the eye test matched, and you saw with the hitters' reactions to things, they were uncomfortable throughout the course of the first 4 innings. 5th inning happened. You can't take that away, but maybe that was the sign of what's to come. Baby steps, right? First, you show the ability to throw that through 4. And Kyle Leahy has shown some of this, where early on it was like, okay, this ain't going to work. And I was skeptical of it as much as anybody. I remain a little skeptical of it, but I'm starting to be more open. I'm Kyle Leahy curious as well. But yesterday, you see the signs of what this could look like from Liberatore if he's able to unlock those breaking pitches. I do still wonder about the fastball. It's a really bad pitch for him so far this year. There's just no getting around it. If he can get that to be a little bit more effective, you might have something here, man. And it might start playing more and more later in the games. So I don't know, man. Yesterday, that impressed me. I didn't think he had that in him.
Unless it's humid, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to be great from April until about the beginning of May. And then from June to August, there's going to be a reason why he struggled. But then when September hits, watch out, buddy.
Coming up in 15 minutes.
Playoffs.
We'll talk to Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues. He'll join us here on BK and Ferrario as he does each and every Wednesday. He was on with the Last Minute Blues podcast earlier today. The guys are putting one out later on this afternoon. Not out yet, but you can check it out later on at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. We'll talk to Kerbs coming up in 15 minutes. But next, who is the pro athlete that is most synonymous with playoff failures over the last 20 years or so? We'll talk about one who was in action last night. Boy, was that ugly. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Alex, last night was, I would say, an embarrassing performance is a fair way to describe what happened to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Did you see anything about this?
No, I didn't see it. I was locked into the Thunderbirds.
So the Cavs were up big. I mean big on the New York Knicks. So much so that most people had turned the game off prior to the fourth quarter. And they found a way to get completely outplayed in the fourth quarter plus overtime. Alex, they were outscored 46-21 in the fourth quarter plus overtime and lost by 11. In other words, they were up by 30 and lost in overtime in that game against the New York Knicks. And it was the latest reminder of what James Harden's career has been. James Harden, for those that aren't watching a whole lot of NBA right now, yes, he does play for the Cleveland Cavaliers now. And yesterday, he was 1 for 8 from 3, finished with 15 points in the game, and had more turnovers, 6, than field goals, 5, made from the field. In fact, this has become a bit of a trend for James Harden in his postseason career. James Harden, according to Underdog, has played in 188 career playoff games, Alex. He has had as many or more turnovers than made field goals in 48 of those games, which is a quarter of his career playoff games. More turnovers than made field goals for a guy that is a volume shooter with the ball in his hands for a good portion of the basketball game. To me, if you're looking to basketball, the guy that is such a great regular season player, 11-time All-Star, 3-time scoring champ, 8-time All-NBA, a future, no doubt about it, first ballot Hall of Famer. James Harden is a great basketball player. There may be nobody in the league that is as good as him, that is more synonymous with playoff failures than James Harden in the last 20 years. Who else would be on that list?
So I immediately go to hockey. It's just my mindset, and 3 guys came to mind immediately. One was Connor Hellebuck, and I mean, just look at what he did last season for Winnipeg. Like, with the exception of the Blues basically choking, he was horrible in that series. The other one, if people remember, is Ryan Miller. Ryan Miller was a Vezina winning goaltender for about 6 years. He is one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the league. But every year he made the playoffs with Buffalo, he was awful. And then with St. Louis, he choked. With Vancouver and Anaheim, he choked when he got the chance. And then the other one is Roberto Luongo, another incredible regular season goaltender. Now, his numbers don't call for choking. Like, he wasn't awful,
sure,
but he never could win the big game. And that, to me, is playoff failure, especially from a goaltender. Like, when you get to the biggest stage and you can't make the big save for your team. So those are 3 guys on the hockey side of things that came to mind.
The one that comes to mind for me for baseball would be Aaron Judge. And I don't know how fair that is, because when you look at his numbers, he's actually got an 822 OPS in his career in the playoffs. But he also has really 2 years that have stood out as, like, okay, this guy just doesn't perform. The year they got to the World Series 2 years ago has the drop ball out in the outfield during that World Series game, and he ends up with just a 752 OPS. He's a guy that I feel like every time we get to October, all you hear is storylines of, all right, Judge can't perform in the big game, or at least he doesn't look like Aaron Judge of old, the guy that's the MVP winner and eventually future Hall of Famer. He's the number one guy that comes to mind for me when it comes to the sport of baseball.
I think there are a lot of these guys in the NFL. Kershaw is one of them for sure.
Yeah, a lot of guys in the NFL for this.
Romo was this guy where, fair or not, he was the guy that always got crushed for his big game failures. I would say right now the one that most represents this is Lamar Jackson, who we get to every postseason, and I'm like, yeah, man, I know he's great. That guy is a multi-time MVP award winner, probably is deserving of one more than what he has. I don't care. You're going to get to the playoffs, and I'm going to bet against that guy. It's going to go south, and I don't know why. It's going to be sacks. It's going to be big moments where he fails. Like, that guy's going to find a way to lose this game. Lamar, to me, is the one that's most symbolic of regular season success and playoff failures currently in the NFL. Peyton was this early in his career, but then he was able to change the narrative by the time he got that Super Bowl in Indy, and then eventually having the success with the Broncos basically on his career deathbed, but the defense was able to come up with a big one for him.
Dak is another one that comes to mind. Every time Dak gets into the playoffs, I'm like, yep, you're not going to have success. Justin Herbert's probably falling into that as well with the Chargers.
I was about to say, who are the guys, because you saw this early in Harden's career where it started to come for him, right? And you can feel it start to build in careers. I think Justin Herbert, you mentioned him, he's one of those guys that right now is, all right, it's time for you to have some success when we get to the playoffs.
Like that emojis, do something, poking them with a stick, do something.
Who are other guys in your mind that are kind of starting to feel that early in their careers? Is there anybody that comes to mind?
Jake Ottinger with Dallas.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Dude got pulled last year. Pete DeBoer was fired for it, and turns out he was correct because that guy seems to be choking when it matters most.
Do you think Kyrou's getting this? Because
Kyra scores in the playoffs, though.
Yeah,
locally or nationally? Because I think that's a different conversation.
Well, nationally, I don't even think people talk about him.
Yeah.
Correct.
The reason I thought about it, and mainly because to me, you almost have to have that moment that like pops out in your head, right?
When
like,
he got hit by
I
Stanley.
mentioned Judge. I can visualize him with that moment. Same with Kershaw. The hit was the one where, like, I mean, it happened, and then he wasn't the same guy. Not only the same guy for the playoffs, not the same guy this year in the regular season as well. That's why I asked that question.
I mean, it's a fair question, but I mean, he's actually scored in the playoffs, so it's hard for me to say he doesn't show up.
Somebody on the YouTube chat said Stroud, C.J. Stroud, has been really bad in the playoffs.
That first year with Houston, it felt like he was good in that first season with them. Where
that first game he was, and then I think it was the Ravens were the second game that he played, and he was, if I remember correctly, I think awful in that one as well.
Yeah. Jared Goff, I guess, has a little bit of that.
Yeah, but he got to a Super Bowl, so I don't know. And I think he played fine. I don't know if he was great, but I think he played fine in that run with McVay to the Super Bowl.
Somebody brought up Joel Embiid.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's also injured every time it feels like they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I'm trying to think of any like offensive player from the NHL.
Is the guys I'm about to bring up haven't been to the playoffs much. Goldie and Arenado. They would kind of have that to their moniker here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, they won an MVP, or Goldie won an MVP, and then like
I think Goldie more than Arenado, because Arenado didn't make the playoffs a whole lot with Colorado, right?
He made it a couple times, but he
Goldie
didn't
made
perform.
it a lot with Arizona.
He didn't perform. I don't think Goldie didn't make it as much with Arizona.
I thought he made
as
it like 2 or 3 times, didn't he?
I think that's about the same as Arenado in Colorado.
Was it?
And they neither have performed well when they get there. And then that was the MO here in St. Louis. I mean, they weren't good in the wild card game in 21, and then they were both terrible in that series against Philly in 22.
Yeah.
We've had a few people named Josh Allen.
No way.
I think Josh Allen has had some moments where it feels this way. This year was a Josh Allen playoff failure. That's on him. He sucked in the playoffs. But, man, so many of their playoff losses are not on him.
Yeah.
You know, like
second game wasn't his fault.
He was he scares the hell out of me. Like, Chiefs play against Josh Allen and the Bills in the playoffs. That guy terrifies me in a way that Lamar Jackson never has in a playoff game.
Yeah.
Because I assume Josh Allen's going to throw for 250 and run for 100 in a playoff game. Now, he may not ultimately get there, but he has that kind of potential every time that he takes the field. I know that it was really bad for him against Denver, but previously he had really kind of gotten away from that. So I don't feel that way about Josh Allen, but maybe that's me.
No, I don't. I think he was. I think he was early on. Yeah, it was the interception.
What was the game again? Was it Houston where he's like running backwards and like while he's just getting spun around, he lobs it to throw and it's intercepted? Because that's the moment, right? That's the moment again. Yes. You have to have that moment.
I think he solved that narrative for the matches against the Chiefs, and he just ran into a really good team.
In his 10 playoff games prior to the Broncos game, which was again ugly, I readily acknowledge as much. In the previous 10 playoff games, he was 6-4. He had 21 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and ran for another 8 touchdowns. So he had 29 total touchdowns and 3 interceptions in 10 playoff games, and his team was 6-4 in those games. I can't blame that on him, man. No. And he only lost 1 fumble in those games. So, yeah, that's ridiculous, those numbers that I just...
Somebody brought up Henrik Lundqvist, the polar opposite. Lundqvist was awesome in the postseason for the Rangers. The Rangers teams couldn't get the job done. That dude had a career .921 save percentage in the postseason for the Rangers. He made it to the Stanley Cup final once, made it to the conference final 2-3 times. Team never was good in front of him.
Can a coach have this moniker?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Because I was thinking of a couple coaches that kind of came to mind as well. Like, I think Aaron Boone falls into this. Boone's a guy that...
Guy's a loser.
can't win it in October.
He always says it.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw it with his performance in the home run derby last year in the All-Star game.
Yeah,
you can't trust that guy to make big decisions in big moments. I'm being serious, and I know it sounds like I'm kidding. I'm not.
But I
don't trust that guy.
He's a guy that comes to mind for me on that. I also thought about, and I don't know if this one's fair, but Kyle Shanahan hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's gotten to what, 2 or 3?
But
he
when you
can't
two
beat
as the head
Mahomes.
coach,
one as the offensive coordinator, and it's been legit meltdowns every time. They've had big-time fourth-quarter leads twice with the 49ers, 10-point leads going into the fourth quarter, and lost both of those. And then, obviously, the 28-3 one. It was the offensive coordinator, but he failed in that one as well.
Somebody brought up Austin Matthews. Would you put Austin Matthews in that?
I think it's more of a Maple Leafs thing, but
he's got 26 goals and 59 points in 68 playoff games.
That's pretty good.
I mean, that's not.
That one reminds me a lot of Vladdy. Vladdy early in his career got the can't win the big one in the playoffs for the Blues. But you looked at his numbers.
He was always good.
He was always great, putting up big-time numbers. It wasn't quite what you see in the regular season, but nobody is. Scoring is down in the playoffs.
51 goals, 78 points, and 132 NHL playoff games.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and take 7 of those away, but take 35 of the games of the away. So what is that? 46 goals in 100 games in the playoffs. Like, that's pretty good when he was with the Blues.
Yeah, that's like a 40-goal pace over the course
You can't even say Mitch Marner anymore because that guy's performing right now for Vegas.
By the way, like you said, where kind of what wasn't Vladdy, it was more the team. I think that's more of the Allen conversation, like you were saying. I think that probably belongs on Sean McDermott as the head coach than it does on Josh Allen.
I think that's what they told you with their decision this offseason.
Yeah.
Is that they think he's...
Because that's his decision.
Touche. Coming up in 15 minutes here on BK and Ferrario, we'll talk a little bit more about the St. Louis Cardinals. It took all of 2 days to get J.J. Wetherholt back on track. We'll get into that coming up here in just a little bit. Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, you know what? When it comes to that air conditioner at home, it's really simple. If you maintain it, it stays working longer. You take much less chance of something breaking down. Get with Classic Air Care today. Book an appointment online. Their main special is awesome. It's $100. It's $89 to have them come out and make sure that it's going. Now, look, you've been listening for a while. You hear me talk about it. You hear Alex Ferrario talk about it. There's a reason we're telling you to just make sure you get them out there to maintain that unit. That way you do the best you can do to avoid catastrophic problems. Now, if you do have something go wrong, they're there to take care of it as well. They've got over 100 trucks on the road, and their is outstanding. You don't get a 4.8 Google rating for the heck of it. You got to earn it, and that's over a lot of techs and a lot of years they've earned that kind of trust. You can trust them. I trust them. Alex trusts them. It's Classic Air Care. Get them out to the house. Get that system ready to go for the summer heat. ClassicAirCare.com. They've been making people comfortable since 1926.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals took down the Pirates in extras last night, 9-6. They'll be back in action for Game 2 of their 3-game set against Pittsburgh tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Michael McGreevy will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Happy to go out to the Kiley and Thompson hotline to be joined by the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, joining us as he did on the Last Minute Blues podcast earlier today. You'll be able to see that here in just a little bit on the YouTube page, youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. Kerbs, appreciate the time, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I think we could almost rename that podcast Donnie's Hockey Therapy.
I mean, that's really what this podcast has always been about. Donnie just gets to unload on whoever's with them, and we just try and calm them down a little bit. But honestly, the best part of that podcast is Donnie losing his mind.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's such a great Blues fan, and to have that thing going as long as he's had going with you guys, and then obviously, with the guys before it's pretty cool. I love the fact it's one of the fun kind of things in the podcast world. Is people are getting a chance to kind of dig into their passions a little bit even more. So that's awesome.
Yep. Chris Kerber joining us here on 101 ESPN. All right, Kerbs, let's talk a little bit about the postseason because the playoffs continue with the conference finals. We've got Canadians versus the Hurricanes, Avs versus the Golden Knights. 3 of the 1 seeds and the Canadians as the 3 seed ultimately move on. What have we learned so far based upon the first 2 rounds of the NHL's playoffs in your mind?
I think we've learned just how good Carolina is. One of the greatest things about the playoffs, and frankly, I'm going to say the same thing about Colorado, right? And the reason I say that about those 2 is that they were probably the 2 most consistent teams throughout the regular season from the beginning of the season on, and that is so hard to do for 82 games. But then when you get into the playoffs, to do what they're doing in the playoffs, it's not, you're not getting the odd games against the teams that are missing the playoffs, or a Chicago, or for a while the Blues, right, that were at the bottom of the standings. You're doing it against, some of the best in your division and conference, and you got to do it for up to 7 games against each of them. And to me, I think that the biggest thing you're seeing is those two consistent teams, why they were so good in the regular season.
Kerbs, who knows who comes out of this? My expectation is Carolina beats Montreal, and then Carolina wins the Stanley Cup. If that's the case, does that make people feel a little bit better about the way that the Blues are building? Because for the longest time, people say, well, they don't have a superstar. They don't have a elite talent on the ice that can shift the game like McKinnon or like Jack Eichel or like a Nick Suzuki. But if Carolina wins, I don't know if they have one of those guys. They're more of that team mentality, that pack mentality that is defensively driven by their success.
Yeah, look, they're going to, if Carolina does it, I think you're going to go there doing it very much the same way the Blues did in 2019. I think what we learned in 2019 and a year maybe like Carolina's having this year, some that they pull it off, is there are different ways to build a team, and there are certain things that you're going to need if you don't have those several years of first overall picks. You know, I mean, and again, Vegas should put in a slightly different category from how they built their original team through the expansion draft, right? Montreal, for example, is a team that's done it with couple of high first overall picks, that kind of thing. The Carolina Hurricanes have been much more consistent throughout a lot of that. So, you know, to me, I think it just reminds you that there's many ways to skin a cat. But the one thing, whether it's Vegas, Carolina, and Montreal, even any one of these Final Four teams, man, they've got you have to have consistent, hardworking, get the puck down low, grind it out, battle effort, and you've got to have that through four lines. If you don't have that through four lines, you cannot make it deep in the playoffs.
Is Jacob Slavin considered to be a superstar?
I wouldn't put him up there.
No, and that's a great question in this sense. Like, would we have considered Ryan O'Reilly a superstar? No. But an absolute stud and star in the league? Yes. So I think we have to be careful, and let's really keep the superstar status for the handful of few that are truly superstars. But when you say he's not a superstar, it doesn't mean that he's not, you know, terrific and one of the top players in the league, at his position. Again, I guess that's a personal definition, I guess, is how you would shake that out.
Carolina has one player on their roster that was their selection that was a top 5 pick, and it's Andrei Svechnikov. Everybody else is either a first-round pick from another team like Jordan Staal or Taylor Hall, or a lot of guys that were drafted late in the first or in the second round.
The reason I ask
you know what?
Go ahead.
Like here's the fascinating thing about what you just said, Alex, is even look at Vegas. This is why you guys have heard me say this for a number of years. This isn't just this year, so it's not like a fresh idea from me. Like, I continue to think Vegas is rewriting the rules on how to stay competitive. Now, look, I understand all the different factors involved, and apparently they were trying to rewrite the rules on how you could talk to the media after games too, and they got whacked on that. But look at their roster. So the first few years, you don't think about their draft. I mean, Nick Suzuki was a Vegas draft pick, right? And traded in for Max Pacioretty. Okay, but even the team that they have now, there's only two of their own draft picks on this roster. You know, and then so to me, that's when you start to extrapolate out. You know, I mean, the Blues had a good number of draft picks on their championship roster. That's you have to build both ways. You get some of your own guys. In this case, Vegas did it through the expansion draft, and then you go out and you get some other pieces. But you know, Carolina's done a pretty good mix of it. Frankly, all four of these teams have done a pretty good mix of it.
The reason I ask about Slavin is, like, this is a guy that's represented at the Olympics. He's been considered to be one of the top defensemen on that team at the Olympics. I know he doesn't put up big-time numbers, but we've talked in the past about how, you know, there could be stud top-level defensemen that don't put up those big-time numbers. I would say, like, that's, to me, the thing that stands out about this Carolina team, and it does kind of remind me a little bit of those Blues teams is how hard they are to play against. Yep. This Carolina team, it's twofold. One, the system is the superstar.
Correct.
And two, you've got Sebastian Aho, who was a dominant, legit, top-line, defensive-minded center, puts up big-time numbers every year, and you've got that legit number one defenseman that makes it all possible as well. So when you have those things, yeah, you can build this way, but man, you better have all of those pieces to the formula. Otherwise, you're building on what is not a solid foundation, in my opinion. And it's a really hard thing to do, which is why we've only seen this done once in the last 7 years. And maybe finally it's being replicated.
Well, let's take another couple angles there, some similarities and other things. Carolina clearly plays to the personality of their head coach.
100%.
Their head coach has created a culture. Their general manager could have justified changing their head coach at different times over the last couple of years. They decided not to do that. They knew they had a good head coach. They just had to continue to bring some pieces in. They took some chances. They went ahead and got Rantanen. When they weren't going to re-sign him, they went ahead and were able to get Wyatt Johnston, who's had a terrific playoffs for them. There's a lot going, that kind of goes into that. But back to Slavin, Todd Reirden was Chris Pronger's defense partner when Pronger won the Norris and the MVP. Todd Reirden eventually went on as an assistant coach. He was coaching John Carlson with the Washington Capitals. At one point, earlier in Carlson's career, he sat down and he said, why aren't we talking the Norris Trophy here? And if you go look at Carlson's numbers and how all of a sudden this defenseman after about year 10 starts to get 50 points, 60 points, 70 points, right? And then is considered one of the top defensemen in the league year in, year out, right? I mean, it takes time. And everybody says, you hear the 300 games. I think for the most part, some of these defensemen, I really say 8 to 10 years. And I look at that because, to your point, again, the question was, is he a superstar? I'm not putting him in the same category there as a Cale Makar, who I put in the superstar category. And, maybe there's statistics that tell me I should be, but I don't. So I just keep that superstar status there. Is he a number one defenseman on 25 out of the 32 teams? Yeah, he is. So terrific player. But again, I just don't throw it in the superstar category.
He's Chris Kerber. He's the voice of the Blues. Joins us weekly here on BK and Ferrario. And if you'd like to, you can hear him on the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast today as well. YouTube.com/101ESPN STL is the place where you can go in order to find that as well. Kerbs, before we get you out of here, are you going to be taking part in Tarps Off at Busch Stadium anytime soon?
Oh, heck yeah.
Listen, first off, I hope the Cardinals win the division because I'm a Cardinal fan. I'm pained to know that means that Tanner's going to be going shirtless on a stream somewhere. So
it's great content.
It'll be with Ollie Marmol, though, Kerbs.
Yeah, it's what the people want.
Yeah. There are certain physiques that just don't need to. There's a reason they created tank tops, and I think I don't wear tank tops, but I do have a tank top physique. I do not have the physique that should be going tarp off anywhere.
I thought you were about to say that about T-Bone. I was like, all right, Kerbs,
he wasn't wrong if he was going to say it.
Listen, T-Bone, I feel you, brother. I know what it's like to be cut like a bag of milk.
That's why, it's why, Kerbs, I feel like I now have motivation to go to the gym just in case they win the division. I got to lose some weight so it's a little bit more respectable.
Well, we're going to see how much you fear that on whether or not you're rooting for a tank by the All-Star break.
Suddenly, T-Bone will be like hammering home how much the Cardinals need to trade.
Yeah, all the
JoJo's got to go. Dustin may get him out of here. If Matthew Liberatore starts to pitch well, hey, man, cashed in on this asset. Here we go.
If there's two factors in front of me.
Get Wetherholt out of here. We get a lot for him. Got to move him out.
Jordan Walker, you can't end up, you can't extend him because you're not going to be able to afford him. Go ahead and trade him now.
There's two factors in front of T-Bone. It's either root for the Cardinals to win the division and keep working out, or root to them not be good so he can keep drinking beer. And I think he's going to go with the latter.
Take my mid-afternoon nap still.
Drinking some Urban Chestnut right beforehand.
That's right.
Woo. All right, Chris. Appreciate it, man.
Fun talk.
All right, guys. See ya.
Take it easy. That's Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joining us as he does each and every Wednesday here on BK and Ferrario.
I think we should get the video team because I know they'll be ready to help with this, T-Bone. I think we need to just get a montage with a Rocky soundtrack behind T-Bone at the gym. Just just him working out. And then like,
that's Rocky. What were you doing?
I think mine was Rocky 4.
I was like, what the?
Yeah,
I was wondering the same thing.
Mine was the deep cuts Rocky training montage. Mine was the Russian one where he's getting ready for Drago. Sorry, that one sticks to me better. But we need that. And then like when they do win the division crown, we release the video of T-Bone working out and then the tarps come off. And nothing has changed. What were you doing all that working out for? Oh, that was just for the video.
Turns out didn't eat my fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, didn't drink my water.
Brought something green today.
Yeah, this is honeydew melon.
Make him eat one. Make him eat one for the next segment.
Sure.
Coming up next, T-Bone tries honeydew melon on the radio here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. T-Bone, are you serious? You want to try a honeydew melon?
Yeah, I guess.
This is
Okay,
where
go ahead
the
and
viewers spike.
grab one of those. So T-Bone has never had like half of the
T-Bone doesn't eat fruit.
half of
Or
the
like a
fruits
pear.
that a normal person would have eaten in their life.
Don't smell it. Doesn't smell like anything, man.
Everything for T-Bone, if it's a fruit, it looks like a pear. It smells like a
Yeah,
pear.
kinda
It
looks
tastes like a pear.
Is it going to taste like a pear?
I don't think so.
Yeah, man. It tastes like chicken.
That'd be good. I love me some chicken.
I know you do,
that
buddy.
I would want a fruit to taste like
It
chicken.
tastes like a hot
sure?
dog.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, you should ask Curbs about that. Curbs will go on a spiel about chicken, how it has no taste to it and it's
I thought
disgusting.
it smell a little more honey, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
What,
Did you say it smells a little honey?
Have you had watermelon before?
It's literally
said this,
called
no.
honeydew.
You've never had watermelon?
No. This is going to be in first.
It's
for me.
called honeydew,
No,
man.
that's why I thought it smelled like honey. Doesn't.
It doesn't smell like anything. It's weird. I don't like watching people eat, man. It's so uncomfortable when they make eye contact with you.
I don't like that.
Yeah, no, the smacking. Oh, God. He makes eye contact when he does it. It's gross.
What do you think?
It's fine.
It's fine.
I don't know. I
right,
want
now-
to eat a whole thing of them like you got over there.
Now take your tarp off and do it. Feel
T-Bone,
better.
that's how you stay a little healthier.
Nah.
Probably not. Not for you.
All right, well, there it goes. It's out the window.
I don't
T-Bone's
think
not
that's
doing
mine. I don't think that's my fruit or vegetable of choice.
Okay. What is your fruit of, like, if you had to eat one fruit every day with lunch?
It's going to be
what would
great
it
when he's allergic to honeydew when he starts like,
Probably an apple.
Yeah.
an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
That's
heard
what I was
that.
told.
An early
say
bird
apple.
gets the worm.
I think apple would be my go-to. Banana's not a fruit. Is banana a fruit?
What do you think it is? No, hold on.
I'm thinking
hold on.
fruit, but
hold
I'm
on.
not
What do you
sure.
think it is?
I don't really know the difference. I'm going to say it's a fruit.
You don't know the difference between what? A fruit,
fruit
and
and
a...
a vegetable. Remember, I had this trouble with those green little things that go in the oven.
Peas.
No, not peas.
No,
Oh, asparagus.
No, Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, those disgusting
Because I
things.
thought he was describing a grape.
Yeah, the well-known
And bananas
fruit
a fruit.
that
I like
is
bananas. Maybe banana would
Brussels
be my
sprouts.
choice, actually. I think I'd go banana, actually. Yeah.
I just can't believe we live in a world where
The
he just
green
said as
fruit
banana.
Brussels sprouts.
He just said as a banana, a fruit, or a vegetable. I can't tell the
Is that a
difference.
fact you need to know in life? No. So do I put
What?
it in my brain?
What is a
Classification
fruit
of
or
a
a
fruit
vegetable?
or a
Yeah,
vegetable?
you don't need to know that in your life.
It's super easy. Does it have seeds in it?
That's how you determine that?
Yes.
All right, well, then
That's why a
banana's
tomato
fruit.
is actually a fruit.
All right. See, you learn something new every day here on BK and
Now, I
Ferrario.
would think a tomato classifies more as a vegetable, but it is technically a fruit because it
This might
has
get complicated.
seeds. Like a banana has seeds in it in the middle. So it's a fruit.
Well, you don't have to explain this to me, man.
No,
I know
I'm-
what a fruit and a vegetable is. I'm just
I
Mr.
choose fruit then, or a banana. I choose a banana then. Yeah. I could eat a banana for breakfast
Somebody
every
said
morning.
that's it. We need a segment weekly where T-Bone tries a new fruit or a new vegetable that he
Someone-
hasn't had yet.
Someone said, quick, tell Tanner bananas poultry. Does he think bananas are a gourd or something?
We're going to
T-Bone.
do, next week, T-Bone will have strawberries.
Fruit.
Somebody said ketchup is fruit juice, so
There you go.
Technically.
Love ketchup
that-
with some fries.
it's like drinking V8 when you eat ketchup. Yeah, and you're using potatoes with ketchup. That's a pretty healthy meal right there, T-Bone.
I know.
Somebody said BK peppers have seeds in them. Yep, and they're fruits. I know it doesn't feel like they should be. They're
What
classified
about
as a fruit.
zucchini?
Would be a fruit. It is. You can get
What
mad
about
at
a
me.
cucumber?
Fruit.
Doesn't
Okay, well, literally
everything
everything.
start from a
yeah,
seed, though?
everything's got seeds in it. If you're going to go
All
on
of
that.
these things that you've mentioned so far because they're all fruits. Anything else?
I thought it was fruits grow on trees and vegetables grow out of the ground.
I just thought vegetables are green.
That's what I thought. Well, no.
What would you consider carrots?
Yeah. Or
Fruit.
corn.
Carrots were a fruit in your life?
Yeah.
What's
Really?
corn?
For me?
No, carrots
yellow,
were
it's a fruit.
untouchable in his life.
Yeah, those things are nasty. It was so nasty I don't even think about them.
Somebody said Tanner will have a banana stout. That is his fruit for the day.
Oh, that's interesting. I did just have a banana like Heffenweisen.
Did you just cuss at me?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Hefeweizens are fine. It's not my jam.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't. Either. If it wasn't for the banana in it, though, probably undrinkable.
You know what is T-Bone's jam? Jam. Strawberry jam.
that's true. Well,
Not a jam guy.
only strawberry, though. That's
No.
it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't do grape.
No jam.
You had blackberry jam
What, do you just do a peanut butter sandwich?
What?
Jelly? He's probably a jelly guy.
No jelly. No.
What?
What do you do? You do a peanut butter sandwich?
You just put butter on there. Yeah.
Wait, hold
Butter
on.
and toast. That's it. You don't eat jam.
No, a sandwich. Like a
like
peanut
a
butter and
PB&J.
jelly
I don't
sandwich.
like PB&Js as we learned. I thought we learned this last week.
Okay.
Not a PB&J guy.
I'm done, man. I just don't know how to
T-Bone
do
eats
this
like
anymore.
6 foods.
Yeah, it's
And he
deli
puts them
with
on a
Kraft
rotate.
singles.
PB&Js out. Dino Nuggets in.
It is really remarkable how much your diet is similar to that of my 2-year-old.
Everybody is going to say it with me right now. 3, 2, 1. Tanner, grow up.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Somebody on the text line said green beans have seeds. Fair point.
I thought so. I nearly brought those up.
I'm guessing they're technically considered to be a fruit.
Everything can't be fruit, man. Everything
Green.
can't be fruit.
Green, it's a vegetable.
It is technically a fruit.
What? No.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is technically a fruit.
This is just him trying to back his statement of seeds have fruit, and everything becomes a fruit now.
Avocado, fruit. Olives, fruit. Okra?
You bite your tongue, sir.
You thought your fried okra was a vegetable? Nope.
There's no seeds in
Butternut
olives.
squash, fruit.
Did you say there's no seeds in olives?
There's not,
What
right?
do you think the pits are?
Didn't really think of that.
Tough look, T-Bone. Somehow that was worse than...
Somebody said T-Bone's got to go. Budweiser's considered a fruit.
Pumpkin,
For Tanner.
fruit.
Oh, God. No, actually, it's considered a gourd.
Everything's a fruit, man.
Yeah, everything's a fruit. As we've learned, you can't grow anything because it's all fruits.
It's all... I'm telling you, it's...
Bread is a fruit because it's seed, wheat, fruit.
Yeah, so then my hearty rye bread's got to be
So
a
his
fruit.
dino nuggets are
Because
probably
it's got
fruit.
seeds in it.
Because chickens eat seeds to
Yeah.
keep themselves alive.
There you go.
Dino nuggets, fruit. Congrats, T-Bone.
This is like the everything is a sandwich meme. Everything is a fruit.
Everything is a
You
fruit.
didn't know it, but everything's a fruit. Coming up
That's
next,
why I don't even think about it.
This is why you only eat dino nuggets, you
it took
5-year-old.
all of 2 days for JJ They did it. The Cardinals just announced it on Twitter. I quote from @Cardinals. Want to join the movement? Starting tonight, the upper right field bleachers at Busch Stadium will become a dedicated high-energy fan section inspired by the tarps-off atmosphere that fans have brought to the ballpark. Any fan in the ballpark, regardless of seat location, can join the fun. Shirts optional. Good on them, man.
So regardless of seat location, but it's in upper right field.
So basically,
you
they're
can
saying
walk over
this
there.
is now a more or less standing room only area similar to the Budweiser Terrace.
Yeah.
Where typically what I do for Cardinals games, to give away the secret.
So you started the movement.
Yeah, more or less. I buy the cheapest ticket that I can find, whether that's through the Cardinals or the secondary market. I buy the cheapest tickets that I can find, and then I go sit in the Budweiser Terrace because it doesn't matter where my seats are. I know where I'm going to go sit at the game.
Yeah.
And it's standing room only. It's open. There are no dedicated seats in that area. So my assumption would be they're more or less blocking off this area from actual ticket sales over the coming days, weeks, months, potentially. And regardless of where your seat says you're supposed to be, you can just go over there, and it's open seating for these 3, 4, whatever sections in right field.
To that point, JR was talking about this on the podcast today, that he and his son are going to the game tonight, and he said his son said, because they're sitting in Big Mac land, and his son told him, JR's like, I'm not taking my shirt off. But he said his son's like, well, I'm going to go over to the right field section. So, like, it's now a destination for Cardinals fans. So, yeah, you're right. They did it, and props to them for this, because now this is a movement that you hope can sustain all season long. You're going to find out, though, without that tarps off crew, how many fans jump into it, and I hope all of them do.
Somebody on the YouTube chat said, BK, don't you have a media pass? I do, but that's for me to cover games. If I'm going as a fan, I don't use my media pass. I get in via a ticket, the same way that you or
family
your family
in
would.
with that
exactly.
Yeah.
But even if I wanted to do like a ticket for Kara, we don't have to do a ticket for Luca because he's under the age of 3, but if I just got her a ticket and then I use my media pass, I don't feel right about that. I'm going to the game as a fan, a spectator. I'm not going to cover the game, so I'm going to pay for the seat that I'm going to use on that day. So, yeah, that's the way we go about it. So for people that say you guys never pay for the games anyways, not true. We very much do. If we go as a spectator, not as somebody that's working. When I go to the game and work in the press box, yeah, I use my press pass.
Yeah,
but
I never pay for a
different situation.
Lucky guy over here.
T-Bone, what do you think? This is I think it's a really cool thing, and it's the latest reminder of the Cardinals getting it. Like, there's something about the organization, not just the team on the field, but the organization over the last few months that just feels different. They're following what their fans are saying, and it feels like they're in on the fun now. And it's like a relationship that's got a back and forth that did not seem to exist in recent seasons, in my opinion.
I think it's a smart brand change. And I know this is going to sound weird because they're winning in almost 10 years above 500, but I mean, you think back to 3 years ago, the Cell wasn't the atmosphere. The Cell was winning, right? The brand was winning. That was Cardinals baseball. You come to the ballpark, you're going to see some of the best stars in the league, and you're also going to see a winning club. And I just don't know that they could have sold that this year. Now, again, they are winning, so it does help it, but I think this is the kind of moment, and it almost has to come, and I think this is what makes it even better, is it almost has to come just naturally, right? It has to be something that is just created by a group of kids from Texas that just decide to go up there, and as he said in an interview, screw it, I'm taking my top off, and I'm going to start swinging this thing around, and then it just grew. I think it's smart. I think it's what they should be doing because it's connecting with my generation, kids my age and younger. And I think the other thing about it is I'm fascinated to see how it grows. Right? I mean, Ollie was in here. You asked him about it. We talked about it the day prior before Ollie came in of, can this be like a soccer support section? You know, is this just going to be tops off for the whole year? Are we going to see this grow to maybe a drum or a horn starts to get involved like you see in soccer? Or maybe it's a flag. I saw there was a Cardinals cowboy out there with his cowboy hat on and a World Series trophy.
He was out there Friday night.
Like, I'm curious to see how this grows and how it continues to go and see if it sustains, too. I think that's the other important fact of this is, are people going to be willing to do this for the rest of the home schedule? That will be the thing to kind of monitor to see if this thing dies off at all or not.
The other thing to me is, like, I don't think it has to be now. I know it's the tops off section, right? Like, I totally get that. Tarps off, excuse me. But it doesn't have to be that long term. this could be a thing where it's just high energy. Like, maybe you get into the summer months and it's a bunch of guys and girls out there that have their shirts on, but they're just getting after it. Like, they're just continuing to give the energy to the team, and they've got the roll calls going. They're doing the chants. Like, they just are constantly into every single pitch. That's fine. It does not have to be this thing where it is just we're swinging our either the rally towel, which they gave out last night. Again, another moment where it's like, all right, yeah, you get it. This is smart. That's a good way to go about this. Or swinging your shirt overhead. It doesn't have to be that at every game. It can just be a section that is dedicated to really excitable young people that want to get after it at a Cardinals game.
Yes, that's the part that I'm concerned it doesn't sustain. Like, I think right now the tarps off movement is what people want to be a part of. Like, when the shirts don't come off, is the excitement there? We want it to be, but does the crowd have it there? And that's going to be the part that's going to be a fascinating experiment. I think this is the perfect time to do it, though, because you're in the summertime. You have kids that aren't in school anymore, so they're back home from college or they're done with high school, and there's a reason to go to the ballpark if I'm a young person. Like, last couple of seasons, it felt like it was a family affair. You're going to go because you want to take your kids, you want them to experience baseball. This is like a, hey, I'm single and I have nothing to do tonight, so I'm going to go to the game and I'm going to go to the tarps off section.
T-Bone, where do kids your age...
God, you sound old.
I know. Where do people your age get their news / highlights, all that stuff?
From
where do they go?
Ferrario.
Social media, Instagram, Twitter, probably more TikTok, Instagram than Twitter, I would say.
You know what's blown up on social media lately?
Tarps off. Yep.
And the reason that
four ballparks have now done it.
The reason that I mention that is because I think you're 100% right, Alex. I think this is like almost a movement among young people in St. Louis that want to be a part of that. Now, you may think what I'm about to say is incredibly stupid, and that's totally fair, but you're not the target demo for this. Just full disclosure. You know what else they want to do? They want to go be a part of it.
Yep.
And they want to post on their social media that they were out there doing the rally towel and doing the roll call. And they want to get the likes and the retweets and the comments from their friends saying, oh my God, I was out there over the weekend. It was amazing. Did you see the cowboy guy that had the World Series trophy out there? Oh man, I met the guys from Stephen F. Austin and we talked about how we can keep this going. Like all those different things, right? That stuff continues to play. And will it run out of steam eventually? Maybe. And I don't know how long the section will ultimately last. I have no idea. Because it's not going to be the same people every night out there.
Oh,
they're not
you
going to
lose
go
that
to
energy.
60 games the rest of the way.
And you can't do it like soccer, because soccer, it's like typically once a week, right? It's on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Every night.
And this is every night, and it could be 9 straight days.
The nice thing for the Cardinals is the next time they're back home after this Pittsburgh series is Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Chicago Cubs.
That will be a circus.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think they're going to get a pretty good return on their investment for that series this section.
I'm going Sunday, so I might go tarps off.
Yes.
Why not? I've already done it on the show. Might as well do it at the ballpark.
The true test of this will be, all right, then you've got Texas for a 3-game set Monday to Wednesday. How's that going to go, right? So like, it's not going to be every game. It's not always going to be full, but I do think they have found something here. I like that they're capitalizing on it. Ollie did a great job over the weekend. The organization then followed that up by yesterday, moving them over behind the bullpen because they had some kind of a charity event going on in the upper right field deck.
That'd be kind of awkward with your shirt off.
Yeah, so now they've got a dedicated section. They've got the area. They've got it, like, basically, I mean, this has become a thing, right?
I'll be fascinated to see how this one trends for the Cardinals, but if it keeps going all season long, because the real test to me will be, would it carry over to next season? Because that's just a hard thing to carry over from season to season.
Absolutely.
But if it continues all season long for the Cardinals, I saw the video of Drinkwitz talking about how he wants to see it at Ferrario Field this year. That is football, so you would imagine it carries over, and then does it carry over to hockey as well? Like, if this is truly this movement, which would be incredible if it is, you're going to see this kind of just continue to sustain. Even if it's for games here and there, It's going to be a thing rather than it just fade away. And I hope people enjoy it because I've seen a lot of negativity on it being like, oh, God, this is so annoying. If you're annoyed by it, then just mute it or don't talk about it. But let the people enjoy it right now because this is something that it makes people want to go have fun. And frankly, people need fun right now in the world.
I think the part that annoys people is the coverage of it. It's more this than it is like what's actually happening at the ballpark.
For sure.
It's seeing Chip and Brad last night with the muscle shirts on. It's that stuff. I loved it. I think it's great.
I think Ollie should have had one on.
But it's all of that, the circus surrounding it more so than it is what's actually happening. And then like after the home run, the pan straight to that part of the crowd. That's fine.
And I think part of the not frustration, but like you're saying, the annoyance of the coverage it's because it's new to baseball.
It's new.
It's fresh.
And that
baseball
will go
hasn't
away.
had energy. Like I hate to say it, I love the game of baseball. You know, it's my favorite sport to cover. I watched the game last night after the Cardinals game. Baseball's not had this kind of energy around it. There's been energetic players that have started to come on the scene, but it's never had the energy around it for a regular season. You get to the playoffs, yeah, of course the atmosphere great. It's the bleeping playoffs. Baseball has not had this for really any team, I would say, across the sport, like this kind of a movement. And that's where I think some of the kind of hesitation or the I'm tired of hearing about this is because it's so new. Baseball is trying to run with this and trying to connect with a younger audience.
And that's also why it's being covered the way that it is because it's so new and it's fresh and it's different and it's exciting and it's fun. And there are young people that are latching on to it. And now those are the exact people that baseball is trying to connect with. This is a game that has been kind of old and stodgy and slow and meandering and timeless. And that, for a lot of people, is what they love about the game. And much of what baseball has always been is still there, right? There is no clock on the actual game itself. Now, there is on individual pitches, but the actual game itself could go on for God only knows how long. And the rules, while, yes, there have been some changes, it's still the game that you've always remembered for the most part, right? But now there's new elements to it, and there is this thing going on in right field, and so it's being covered, I believe, accurately and as it should be right now. It will also die down.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to be talking about this the same way 2 weeks from now that we are today. And as that continues to happen, A, I'll be curious to see what it looks like as the coverage of it all starts to slow down. And B, I think a lot of people that maybe have that pushback of, guys, I don't want to hear about this anymore. I think this is way overplayed. It's lame. It's unnecessary. It's forced. If that's the way that you feel about it, give it a little bit. It'll be out of your hair sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that loves this, continue to keep it going. I recommend anybody that wants to go out to Busch Stadium, have a good time, go join this, man. This is a way that you can make some pretty damn good memories this summer. And if you're somebody that's just looking for connection, good place to do it out at Busch Stadium all summer long. And you don't even have to buy an expensive ticket. It can be a really reasonable spot to go out to watch a game. Cardinals do a bunch of promos right now. They've been great at that this year, too. I mentioned to you guys, I felt stupid on Friday when I went to the game. I'd already bought $15 tickets, which isn't expensive. And then I found there were like $20 tickets with $20 in cards cash on them that I could have purchased, which is effectively saying go to the game for free.
Yeah,
you
right?
should feel stupid.
Yeah,
You can bring, I think you can bring some of your own food in to the games.
Oh, my God. And you probably bought food, didn't you?
Of course, man.
You dummy.
I went to the Big Chicken. Is that what it's called out there?
I think that's
Shaq's
the name.
place.
Yeah.
I went there like a year ago. It was really, really good. My experience was not as good on Friday night. I needed to go back to Mayo Ketchup. That's the spot that I typically go to. I made a mistake. That's on me.
I would have said Chinese food for when it was hot and humid like that. Nothing says hot and humid baseball weather than a little fried rice.
Not for me. Not for me. There are a lot of people that love going there.
Especially when you're, it's just, it's the appetite of just being out and you just can get it and it's easy to eat. But yeah, I'm kind of with you.
All right, coming up next, J.J. Wetherholt needed all of 2 days off. We were going to talk about it here. We'll do that next here on 101 ESPN. We'll get to J.J. Wetherholt's big night here in just a moment. We got a good text from the 314, though, that I wanted to reference. For BK and Ferrario, one of the problems that's plagued the Cardinals over the past decade or more is the gatekeeping of tradition at Busch Stadium. There is almost nothing more insufferable than listening to one of those people that would call themselves the BFIB. I absolutely abhor those people. Very different definitions.
I have to Google what abhor means.
Hate them.
Just say hate, man.
It's time for fun to come back to Busch, and as dumb as this tarps off movement might be, it's organic, it's fun, and it's different, and I'm here for it. Signed, a lifelong Cardinals fan who has hated going to games over the last 6 to 8 years or more.
He's right. It's the same reason that it's hard for people to get in on City SC. There's this feeling of like, if you don't understand the sport or if you're not a part of the history of the sport, you can't be a part of it. And baseball has a little bit of that, to where it's like it's a tradition and there's no excitement to be different with it. Like, how many people get angry when there's bat flips or when there's staring down people or celebrating a big moment? People lose their mind because it's, he's flaunting it, act like you've been there before. It's like, man, make it entertaining, make it more fun so that people can enjoy it.
I think you've seen a shift in that over the last couple of years. And I think even Major League Baseball has embraced that a little bit more. They had that, was in the playoffs, they had the commercial where it was like, let the kids play, or this is the kids game or something. Mm-hmm. And they were promoting the bat flips and everything. So I think you're seeing more of that. I would also add this locally here in St. Louis. One of the things that the Cardinals have been selling, really the thing that they have been selling for years now, is nostalgia, right? They have been reaching back to yesteryear to get you excited about the current Cardinals. Hey, come out to the ballpark. It's the 20-year anniversary of 06. Hey, come out to the ballpark. It's been 10 years since 2011. Hey, come out to the ballpark. You'll be able to see one of the Cardinals Red Jacket members. Like, it's always reaching back and less so about the here and now. And listen, there's value in that. Like, this is a organization and a franchise that has unbelievable history. And they should be incredibly proud of that history, and they should cherish that history. But that's not the only thing you can sell. And I think they got to a place where that was kind of it. And they would exclusively look to their history. And then even in their signings, they would look back at who played here before, who has a history with the birds on the bat. And so they go get Lance Lynn, right? Or they get guys that are from here with Kyle Gibson. And I liked that signing. I'm not disparaging it. But I think there is something special about, all right, let's start a new chapter. Yes, we have all of that history, but this can be something new too. Let's write our own history now. And I think that's what the Cardinals are trying to accomplish, is how do we build the next team that people come back to celebrate? And what does the atmosphere look like when that team is here? So I think that seems to be the vibe that's going on at Busch Stadium right now, and within the entire organization, is they're starting to turn that page a bit and celebrate now in the future versus the past. And I think that's a welcomed addition for a lot of Cardinals fans that have been looking for that for years now.
Yeah, when you go into a rebuild or a build or whatever you're going to call it, you have to start new traditions, you have to start new fans, you have to start new reasons to get on board, and that's what it feels. It feels like this is just like an awakening season for the Cardinals and for a lot of people that can gravitate towards it and start that new tradition.
A big part of that future will be J.J. Wetherholt. Whenever they're good again, my guess is that guy's going to be a big part of it. And last night you saw why. The home run, 2 hits in the game, got on base with a walk as well. He had not been performing at a high level in the month of May prior to that game last night against the Pirates. And the Pirates fans have to be just furious about having to go up against this guy for potentially the next decade, because all he's done against them is completely terrorize their franchise.
Yeah, but they got
for the first
schemes.
5 games against him. J.J. Wetherholt in the previous 14 games was batting 185, and he had 1 extra base hit. Now, it wasn't a crazy strikeout rate. The on-base percentage was still at 300, which speaks to how high his floor is as a baseball player. But it wasn't the same as it was coming into the month. He needed a day off, Alex, on Sunday. We talked about this yesterday with Ollie Marmol. Got the day off as well coming into this week. And then, boom, last night, a 2-for-4 performance with the home run and a walk. I guess he was just tired. just running on fumes for a little bit and needed a day off, and now he's right back on track.
Well, and that's what Ollie told us. He's like, it's not so much managing the mental side of it as it's just managing the fatigue side of it, because this is going to be a very different type of season than what he's ever dealt with. And I get that. Like, you've got to manage the person more than the athlete. And yeah, exhaustion is a thing. I know people don't like to hear it because they make so much money and it's, oh, well, these guys are paid. They shouldn't be exhausted, or even if they are, they should perform. And sometimes this is what happens. And sometimes just a reset is what works for you. But much like we talked about Jordan Walker, what tells you if you've got a true star in the making is how you rebound from slumps. And that wasn't even a slump, so to speak, but still, he wasn't the same player. You get a day off, and then all of a sudden it's back to what J.J. Wetherholt is used to.
And we'll see if he's officially out of it. You know, it could be just one game where he plays well and then he gets right back to where he had been. But I would say this, none of his at-bats, I said this yesterday, none of his at-bats look like he's been struggling, right? He still has kind of the same approach. He is trying to figure out a way to hit breaking balls. That is something to continue to monitor when you look at his numbers, where his slugging percentage against them is 208 and he's hitting 188 against them. But I'm not overly concerned about that. I think right now you're just seeing a guy still trying to adjust to that adjustment that baseball's made on him, and we'll see if it continues. But, I mean, I have no concerns over J.J. Wetherholt. The guy's at-bats haven't changed. Like when Walker would go into slumps, and you even saw this a little bit this year when he went into his, it was a completely different plate approach. It was swinging at everything, chasing after that sweeper, low and away. And I haven't felt that way about Wetherholt. And as you saw last night, he just kind of sticks to what he does best, and he's able to do damage to the baseball when the Pirates make a mistake.
Cardinals back in action this evening. They will do so against the Pittsburgh Pirates, game 2 of this series. Michael McGreevy on the mound. He's going up against Cameron.
Cameron what?
Yeah, what's his last name?
Cameron M.
M what?
M. You got to give me more than this, man.
Mladzinski?
I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
Mladzinski?
You should have just stuck with Cameron M, man.
It's a ski.
It's a ski?
Yeah, his last name.
I thought you meant like it's a brand of a ski. And I'm like,
that's what I've got.
I don't ski, so I wouldn't
T-Bone,
know.
you got it?
I'm looking it up for you. Don't you worry.
I think the L is silent, so
Also, it's
Mladzinski.
Carmen, not Cameron. I apologize.
He's like,
Carmen Muginski.
yeah,
Maginski?
Yeah.
not Muginski. There's no
Yeah.
G in it.
I'm looking at the pronunciation.
That's like a green bean being a fruit.
This is like my wife's.
I understand that's what they say. I don't buy it.
This is like my wife's maiden name. She had a Z in there, and I was like, what is this? It's Polish. It's got to be Polish.
Kara's maiden name, or her mom's maiden name, was Bogdanovich.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad we didn't.
Before
get that
Katie
one.
and I dated, she's like, you got to know how to pronounce and spell my last name. And I'm like, oh, good luck with this. There's Z's and W's and K's in there. Like, what the hell is this?
It's all Z's, C's, and vowels.
I looked at her and I said,
that's not a word.
I said the last name doesn't matter because you're going to be a Ferrario. It's easier to spell. That was confidence, man.
Man, on date one.
It worked.
Damn,
Wow.
man.
It worked.
I don't have that kind of confidence.
Lefties.
She's what now? A Ferrario.
Name of the game tonight, left-handed hitters. They have an OPS of
Maginski?
880 against
Maginski.
Maginski. 880 OPS. Righties have a 550 OPS against him. So this is another night where you should expect your lefties to have some success, and it might be a tough one for your right-handed bats.
Gorman
Maybe a
bomb.
good night to call up a Brian Torres, for example.
I like that thought process.
No.
I'm hoping
6:45 first
we don't,
pitch. I have not seen a lineup yet. Have you guys?
but to be honest, I haven't looked.
I think I saw a Redbirds lineup that had Torres in it.
Did you?
Oh,
double check it.
man.
Damn.
No, he's not in it.
He's not.
Nope. I thought I saw him in there, but he's not in it. Ooh. Nelson Velasquez is, so he won't be called up. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
I wonder if he could get the
No,
call up
it's
today.
no. Come on, man. They don't need to worry about Saggese. He's a righty. He's not going to get in.
Oh, they've got a 12:08 first pitch, so I wonder if he's in the dugout today. Somebody get on that. If anybody's watching the Memphis Redbirds game, let us know if Brian Torres is there or not.
We need an insight.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. You give us two options. We'll tell you which one's more likely to happen next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here. The Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals took down the Pirates last night 9-6. Game 2 of their 3-game set against Pittsburgh will be tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Michael McGreevy will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one's more likely. I'd just like to bring something up that we talked about during the break real quick. Good for Hillary Duff, man.
She is
Good
having her moment.
T-Bone?
I don't know Hillary
Any
Duff.
thoughts?
We made two references in this commercial break of T-Bone, Hillary Duff, Lizzie McGuire, because we mentioned that, and Shannon Elizabeth, and T-Bone knew neither of them.
Hillary Duff's having a moment.
Good for her, I guess. I don't know who that is.
Had you ever seen any Lizzie McGuire?
Like, I can remember the show name, so I'm sure it had been on at times on, like, I guess it was Disney Channel, right? And I probably would have seen it a couple times, but, like, not enough to...
2001 to 2004, so I mean...
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it would have been a rerun then
Mm-hmm.
that I would have potentially seen it on, but no, not really.
Like, I missed Saved by the Bell. It was just, like, right before me.
Yeah, that was... late 80s, early 90s. I was like 2 or 3 when it was going on.
Funny thing is, I don't know the actors in that show, but I knew that show.
Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, because we used to have an English teacher in either middle school or high school, and like when we would have the work time on, she would had like throw up Saved by the Bell for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
That's an odd one.
Yeah, that in Alf. Or
Alf?
With the red monster? Is that?
No, the red monster. That Elmo?
Yeah, it is Alf. Yeah, writers give me the thumbs
Alf
up.
wasn't a red
That I'm not
monster.
familiar with.
He's an alien, but he lives with a family.
It's like a puppet.
Yeah.
That one I'm unfamiliar with.
He's red.
For some reason, I think he is red. Or brown, maybe. Red?
Brown, I think.
Brown.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm not familiar with this one.
I had a teacher-
1986
That
sitcom.
and Saved by the Bell were shows that like I'd have a teacher throw up while we were doing
Peter
work.
doesn't understand 2000 references, but he makes 1980
Yeah.
references.
It's the same thing with music, man.
I know, T-Bone.
He goes back to the
I get it.
70s
Oh, yeah.
or
I just
current.
watched a band
You
from
are
the 70s.
AJR or somebody
T-Bone,
that
you are the
existed
most-
20
I
years
just
before we were
watched
alive.
Triumph in concert.
You
and
were
their
the
heyday
most
was in the
difficult
70s and 80s.
person to understand.
Apparently, he
Forgettable.
ate cats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I think they had a family cat
All right.
that he would always try and chase after.
We've learned a lot today here on the show.
Yeah. I learned the difference between a fruit and a vegetable.
Text
You guys
line's
learned about
bringing up-
Alf.
Text line's bringing up Sophie Cunningham, who is in the Sports Illustrated stuff as well with
I have
Hillary
no
Duff.
idea how that is related,
Well,
but yeah, good for her.
You brought up Hillary Duff, who is the cover
I
of the
wasn't
Sports
sure how
Illustrated.
that was related either.
They're bringing that one up.
It's like, are we
Right.
just mentioning beautiful women now? I don't know.
You brought up Hillary Duff, so the text line brought that one up, and she's got local
I saw
ties.
Libby Dunn's going to be in a Baymont Watch remake.
She's in the album or
I don't know
the
how that
Sports
ties
Illustrated
into
thing
Hillary
too.
Duff, but I saw it.
Just bringing up what
Ben
people are
Hoffman
texting
just
in.
texted me. ALF was alien life form who lived with a family in the suburbs. There you go.
Yeah.
Again, 80s reference. I don't get it, guys.
All right, let's get into more likely to happen. You give us two
Disappointed I
scenarios.
did
We'll
that
tell you
Somebody
which
asked
one
if
is more
cat
likely.
is a fruit or a vegetable.
No seeds.
Yeah, so vegetable.
Yeah.
Okay, more likely to make the playoffs this year, the Steelers or the Bengals?
Bengals.
It was just announced that Aaron Rodgers said he's going to play one more year. This is the last ride.
As T-Bone said in the commercial break. I've heard that one before. Bengals. They got a better team.
I think so, too. I would go Bengals, and I'm just going to trust the quarterback more than I'm going to trust Aaron Rodgers.
Alex?
More likely to happen, the Avalanche or the Hurricanes sweep their series?
Abs.
I would go Carolina.
I would go Carolina, too.
The reason I say that, I think Vegas can get maybe a game. It could be denied. McCarr's out. But watching that Sabres and Montreal series, oh, my God, that was pond hockey. Carolina's not going to allow that ish. So I would say Carolina for sure.
I think Montreal had a pretty, and I'm not taking anything away, I think they had a pretty easy path to get where they're at. Carolina is going to be a different monster.
T-Bone?
Guys, both these guys are currently on pace for this number. More likely to happen, J.J. Wetherholt hits 30-plus home runs this year, or Jordan Walker hits 40-plus?
Walker.
Yeah, I would say Walker. I just think that raw power is what gets you there.
That would be my answer as well. 40's a lot. I don't know that he'll get there, but I really don't think Wetherholt's getting to 30. And with his raw power, he might be able to, Walker.
I'm going to have to look this up. We'll get it for the rewind coming up in the next segment. I wonder how many players have hit 40 or more home runs at Walker's age in recent memory. I can't imagine.
Albert Pujols. That'll be my guess for one of them.
He did it.
Well, he's 23?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he did. Maybe he did, but...
314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line.
He hit 43.
For more likely to happen. Wow. Players, here you go, in the last decade to hit 40 or more home runs at the age of 23.
Damn, you got
younger.
that quick.
Yep.
Thanks, AI.
It's Vlad Guerrero, Cody Bellinger, Junior Caminero, Fernando Tatis, Joey Gallo, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Don't be Joey Gallo.
He's not Gallo. He doesn't... Well, yeah, no, he's not Gallo. He doesn't miss as much.
I think he's more similar to Tatis. That's probably the closest comparison of those guys.
Imagine when you trade for Tatis, and then you have two of those guys.
I don't want Tatis anymore. For some reason, he can't hit home runs.
Just stop it. He'll be fine.
All right, from the 314, more likely to happen, the Blues trade for Mason McTavish or Shane Wright, Alex?
Mason McTavish. I think Anaheim would love a Jordan Kyrou on their team because he's fast and could play with a Leo Carlson. Is that enough to get Mason McTavish? I'm not sure. But I don't think they'd trade Kyrou for Shane Wright. I think that would be too little of a return.
I definitely have more interest in McTavish than I do Wright. I'm just not sure it's going to work for Wright, so I would agree.
From the 636, more likely the Chiefs miss the playoffs entirely or they make it back to the Super Bowl this year? Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, I don't know what Rishi Rice is going to look like with that knee rehab, so I'll say miss the playoffs.
I'll say Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl.
I think the AFC is going to be wide open, and I think they could be the team that they've got Mahomes. He could get them there.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. From the 314, more likely to win the title this year in college football. This will be our last one. A team from Indiana or a team from the SEC? I'd say it's more likely a team from the SEC this year. I think Texas is my favorite currently.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I would say SEC. More outs, Texas, Georgia. If you want to put Bama in there, you could. Indiana, you're limited to Indiana, which is be good. The Hoosiers will be good. And then Notre Dame, but I'll take my odds on the SEC.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, the Rewind here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Just saw this from the text line. Somebody sent in a screenshot from the Cardinals. It's a Cardinals ticket update. I'll go ahead and read you this email to give you an idea on what they're doing out in the right field area, which is now going to be the Tarps Off section. Dear Cardinal ticket holder, we look forward to seeing you at an upcoming game at Busch Stadium. Please know that your current ticketed location in the right field bleachers is being converted into a general admission standing area inspired by the recent Tarps Off fan movement at the ballpark. We are pleased to provide you a new seating location for your game in comparable section. No action is required on your part. The new seating location will be automatically added to your MLB ballpark app. Thank you, St. Louis Cardinals. Brilliant.
So the person that was in that seat in right field is now going to just get moved to a different seat, a seat upgrade.
Exactly.
And the section is being converted. Yeah, it's a genius move by the Cardinals.
So now it is officially, I assumed this would probably be the case, but now we know that section's not going to be available for tickets to be purchased in. Yep. It will be a general admission area where you could buy a ticket anywhere in the park, buy the cheapest ticket that you want to, and then you can go walk down into that area and you're good to go.
Yeah,
it's great.
This is another successful PR move by the Cardinals, which I believe Ollie said it. And was this the first year of that Anouk that took over in that department, or was last year his first year?
I think last year was his first year.
Because
he's definitely been here for more than this year, but I can't remember if last year or 2 years ago.
Ollie was the one that mentioned he was the guy that he called when he had the idea and told him about purchasing that right field spot. So, I mean, credit to that individual and his team, because they've been working overtime, turning what this season has become, and now you just make another successful move.
He was hired in January of 2024.
So this will be
his third season.
Third season, okay. Gotcha.
With the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, well, I mean, just continuing to improve year by year, and this is going to be a very successful season for him and his team.
Somebody said it sounds like they basically turned it into the supporter section. Yeah.
That's exactly what they did, and that's what they wanted to do.
That was the plan that we talked about with Ollie. That's what we've brought up in the past, and they're hoping to make this into a real thing that can last for them. And we'll see how long that's able to sustain. I have no idea, but I think it'll be good for this series. Mm-hmm. I definitely think it'll be a really cool place during that Cubs series, and then see where it goes, see how it evolves, because it's going to be something different in July than what it is today. But that doesn't necessarily mean good, bad, or indifferent. It's just something different.
Even if it fizzles out, if you're in a playoff positioning, it will come back by August or September. Post-trade deadline, when playoff vibes start to really kick in, when that environment happens in Major League Baseball, that's where it will come back. So everything goes through its ups and downs. If this fizzles out, I'd expect it to come back at some point.
I agree with that.
Thanks, Tanner.
You're welcome.
Cardinals back in action tonight.
Just tell me next time that I made a great point.
Oh, it was great.
There you go.
6:45 first pitch between the
McGinsky
Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals. Michael McGreevy back on the mound this evening, coming off of that appearance in which he threw 74 pitches against the Athletics, got you through 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, and as we talked about yesterday with Ollie Marmol, wasn't very good.
Yeah, trash take two by people that, think it's okay for Ollie to pull Michael McGreevy.
I will be very curious to see what he looks like tonight against the Pirates. Hopefully it's more of the same in the results, but a little bit better in terms of the process. How are you guys feeling going into this one this evening?
I say Cardinals win. I say a Gorman bomb, a 6-2 winner. McGreevy goes 6 innings.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident in a win tonight because you got your best pitcher on the mound in Michael McGreevy, and you're going to need him tonight because your bullpen got fried a little bit in yesterday's extra inning game. So I expect him to go 6-7 innings, be pretty solid for him, put together another quality start, and then the offense, hopefully your lefties can tag up the right-hander for Pittsburgh.
Feel pretty good going into this one as well. Do you think you win? I think it might be a little lower scoring. I've got it 4-2. These games are always tight for the Cardinals. It never feels as though they've completely pulled away.
No humidity today. Wind might be carrying out in center field.
McGreevy's definitely not going to complain about that.
No. Yeah, well, Matthew Liberatore is, remember, because...
No. BK thinks that.
No, what BK thinks is correct.
Always and forever. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app is free to download. It is super easy to use, and that is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. You can check us out on YouTube as well at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. And if you go over there, you will see the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast. Alex, Donnie, and JR had Chris Kerber on with them today, so you can check that out over on the YouTube page. We will have a new edition of the Redbird Report up for you guys tomorrow afternoon. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane is next here on 101 ESPN.
PBJs out. Dino Nuggets in.